Endless information swarmed Qin Mu's brain. It was the masters of creation's complex and overwhelming knowledge, containing the knowledge from the beginning of their race until now. The endless amount of knowledge occupied his memory entirely in an instant. He felt their delight when they first came into contact with the grand primordium divine stone. He felt their happiness when they used such a type of consciousness to visualize things. He comprehended their excitement when they opened their superficial consciousness divine arts. He also felt the grand happiness of creation. He saw the masters of creation as they created everything in the world. They created nature and modified it, built mountains and valleys, as well as rivers and streams, and they walked on the sea and in the clouds. He could feel their state of mind when they did these things. They had a unique comprehension of the universe and nature, having a very close relationship with all of nature. He even experienced the feelings of the masters of creation when they were slain on battlefields. The rumbling drums and lightning, their boiling blood, he felt everything. He felt how the masters of creation destroyed everything to their heart's content in the heat of the battle, inciting excitement within that made them bloodthirsty for combat. Advertisement. He even felt their exquisite state of mind towards creating a beautiful world. They could visualize and create the sun, moon, and stars, or even the most beautiful flowers. They could even delicately carve the most intricate of formation markings on their flowers. He felt their joy and their sorrow, the internal strife they experienced, the death of their fellow masters of creation, the end of a life, or even the withering of a flower made them sorrowful. Such sorrow made these giant brutes shed tears. Visualization and creation were normal to them. The same could be said about war, destruction, and massacre. He could feel their comprehension of consciousness and creation. All sorts of information flooded his brain and formed a vast array of knowledge. Qin Mu felt that he had lived through and witnessed billions of years in that instant. He saw the rise and fall of civilizations. He was still him, but he witnessed too many things and acquired a great deal of knowledge, comprehension, and consciousness divine arts. Advertisement. Divine King Lang was stood by him and felt envious seeing the ancestor spirit world's light flood into the heart of Qin Mu's brows. After an unknown period of time, the light flooding towards Qin Mu dimmed, and the imparting of knowledge ended. The ancestor spirit world became calm again. The 27 spirit ancestors remained in the red light, motionless as they gazed at Qin Mu. The light in the heart of Qin Mu's brows dissipated, yet he wasn't awake. Suddenly, his third eye brightened up, and the light that his consciousness formed grew in brightness. They also felt strong waves of vital qi coming from Qin Mu's body. His vital qi and consciousness intersected and fused. Under Qin Mu's feet, the spirit embryo divine treasure realm suddenly opened. The starry sky rose and covered thousands of miles of the ancestor spirit world, and the stars moved in accordance with their unique orbits to form a galaxy. Advertisement. The galaxy flowed beside divine King Langhua and the 27 spirit ancestors before congregating to form a sky. The heaven duke with Qin Mu's features appeared in the sky. The verdant primordial tree rose into the sky towards the galaxy. Beneath the Taiji diagram of the spirit embryo divine treasure was pure darkness. It was Yudu, and its depth was immeasurable. The Taiji diagram rotated, and the celestial palaces were arranged in a sort of picturesque disorder. They floated above the heavens and underground. Somewhere on the Taiji diagram, divine King Langhua and the 27 spirit ancestors saw apparitions of the ancient gods. In their own positions and duties, they guarded Qin Mu's divine treasure in unison. Divine King Langhua was visibly surprised. The divine treasure and celestial palaces that Qin Mu displayed uprooted her understanding of the divine treasures and celestial palace cultivation system. Qin Mu's divine treasure included his celestial palaces. Advertisement. This was completely different compared to the gods of Carefree Village. The celestial palaces of Carefree Village's gods rested on their divine treasures. In addition, Qin Mu only had one divine treasure, while the people in Carefree Village had 7. Another peculiar thing was how Qin Mu had an incorrect number of celestial palaces. Most gods in Carefree Village had only one celestial palace, but Qin Mu had 14, despite most of them being incomplete. Meanwhile, in Qin Mu's spirit embryo divine treasure, the 15th celestial palace was being rapidly constructed. Opening the celestial palace? Divine King Lang's gaze flashed as she carefully observed how Qin Mu was opening this new celestial palace. She thought, maybe this is useful for us. Many of us died to open the consciousness celestial palace then. When founding emperor built Carefree Village then, Divine King Lang led the charge to attack it. Both sides suffered heavy casualties as a result. Divine King Lang immediately realized that if the Masters of Creation didn't accept the divine treasures in Celestial Palace cultivation system, they would be outmatched, and this gap would grow over time. Advertisement. Thus she abruptly got everyone to accept it. However, they knew nothing about opening divine treasures in celestial palaces. The good thing was that they were Masters of Creation, and they captured many gods of Carefree Village. It was easy for them to acquire these gods' memories. Knowing something was one thing, but opening it was another. When they opened the 7 divine treasures in Celestial Palace then, many Masters of Creation died trying. The number of Masters of Creation who died trying surpassed the number of Masters of Creation that died in the battle with Carefree Village. After countless failures, they finally mastered the system. The 7 divine treasures in Celestial Palace they saw were different from Carefree Village's system. Carefree Village relied on the Path of God system, while they relied on a Consciousness Divine Treasures and Consciousness Celestial Palace system. Now, Qin Mu was displaying another system to them. Although it came from the Divine Treasures and Celestial Palace cultivation system, it was better than it and their own consciousness system. "What is he doing, Divine King?" inquired a spirit ancestor via his consciousness. Divine King Lang carefully sized up the Celestial Palace Qin Mu was opening and replied, "He is comprehending a consciousness technique on the Emperor's throne level. It should be the Grand Emperor's grand overarching supreme consciousness." She was shocked. Qin Mu was modifying the Grand Emperor's grand overarching supreme consciousness. How daring of him! However, she didn't know that the grand overarching supreme consciousness that Qin Mu got was incomplete. It lacked several divine treasure techniques and also lacked a lot of Celestial Palace realm techniques, which prevented Qin Mu from forming the Consciousness Celestial Palace. Now that he had acquired the Masters of Creation's knowledge, his knowledge of consciousness was so in-depth that it couldn't be rivaled. The Grand Emperor might have had consciousness knowledge of a higher quality, but he would have less of it. With this knowledge, Qin Mu could now naturally make up for the incomplete parts of the grand overarching supreme consciousness. After all, the Grand Emperor was the opener of this technique. Qin Mu was merely patching in the holes, which wasn't bothersome. This grand overarching supreme consciousness celestial palace gave off an ever-increasingly dense aura that suppressed that of the other celestial palaces. However, Qin Mu's main celestial palace remained vast enough to suppress the grand overarching supreme consciousness celestial palace's aura beneath it, preventing it from becoming the main celestial palace. After the grand overarching supreme consciousness celestial palace's formation, Qin Mu's aura grew in grandeur again. However, the change was still happening. Divine King Langhua and the 27 spirit ancestors felt a marvelous aura emanating from him. They seemed to have heard the marvelous rhythm that was Tao reverberation. Qin Mu smiled and seemingly entered an unspeakably marvelous state. He unleashed a divine art, and the Tao rhythm became jumping musical notes between his palms. His vital qi and consciousness merged, and the Masters of Creation's knowledge and his own understanding of paths, skills, and divine arts became a Tao realm. Entering the path via divine arts. Consciousness divine arts and vital qi's paths, skills, and divine arts perfectly fused together at this moment. The first heaven of entering the path via consciousness was formed. He raised his palm, and his vital qi and consciousness became 49 heavenly Tao as the palm rose to the heavens and covered the world. His consciousness became Yuandu's 36 heavenly Tao. Although the spherical heavens, heavenly Tao, and great Tao of Yuandu belonged in different systems, they were able to combine together perfectly under the facilitation of consciousness and vital qi. The place where the different great Taos of heaven and earth merged formed a beautiful curve that was smooth on all sides. For different faces of gods and devils appeared on 4 of its sides. They were either angry, happy, depressed, or joyful. This was the first heaven of his divine art. The 4 imprints of heaven and earth. Qin Mu was still unable to feel relaxed despite forming this great way of entering the path via divine arts. Another divine art soon burst forth. He was still comprehending the path when the second heaven of entering the path with divine arts was formed. A door formed behind him connecting heaven and earth, the 64 Yudu Great Tao, and the 49 Heavenly Tao to form a unique divine art. This door was different from the Gate of Heaven influence. The Gate of Heaven influence connected Yudu and heaven. It didn't connect to Xuandu. His door, in comparison, was a divine art formed by combining Xuandu, the 49 Heavenly Tao, and Yudu's 64 Great Tao, the second heaven, the heavenly door of heaven and earth. He was still unable to relax despite deploying his divine arts. He wanted to display all of his comprehension. The third heaven of entering the path with divine arts was formed, and the celestial river had a view of the four poles. The third heaven was still unable to splendidly display his knowledge base. Just as Qin Mu was about to comprehend the fourth heaven, the grand overarching heavenly completion was complete. He went into the mystical world of comprehending the path and unknowingly comprehended the fifth, sixth, and seventh heaven of entering the path with divine arts. Divine King Langhua and the 27 spirit ancestors watched the scene stunned. They were shocked. They knew that the knowledge base of the ancestor spirit world wasn't enough for Qin Mu to comprehend so many ways of entering the path with divine arts. At most, he could comprehend consciousness divine arts, allowing him to enter the path that way. As for how many heavens of entering the path with consciousness, that depended on Qin Mu's level of comprehension. Unexpectedly, Qin Mu hid great Tao runes of the ancient gods that the Tao sect of the celestial heavens had accumulated over millions of years. Although he hadn't completely comprehended all of the great Tao runes of the ancient gods, nor used the computational canon of Supreme Molecule to complete all of them, he had accumulated just as much knowledge in this area as the ancestor spirit world. He was on the edge of entering the path with divine arts, as if he were a large volcano filled with endless heat and angry flames that was merely waiting for a chance to erupt. When the ancestor spirit world's consciousness flooded his brain, it was akin to pumping more heat and flames into a volcano about to erupt. Naturally, the volcano erupted and shook the world. He merged his vital qi and consciousness into one body of knowledge. It was akin to a torrent rushing forward, drenching everything in its path. Finally, Qin Mu woke up from entering the path when he was opening the eighth heaven of entering the path with divine arts. His knowledge base hadn't been used up, but he had reached a bottleneck in his combination of consciousness and great Tao runes. 8 heavens of divine arts? Qin Mu was in a daze and had some doubts. For a long time, he had tried to enter the path through divine arts but was ultimately unsuccessful. To enter the path through divine arts, one needed to have extraordinary comprehension in spells and divine arts. He, however, was used to steering the general direction of Eternal Peace's reform, and the more meticulous work was often left to others. For instance, he was the one who comprehended that magnetism could form the basis of a system of paths, skills, and divine arts. Hence, he sorted out a few equations that could deduce the runes of magnetism. However, he didn't continue the research, pushing it to Granny C instead. After researching all of the runes of magnetism, Granny C directly entered the path of the magnetism divine art. Although Qin Mu had mastered the runes of magnetism and the magnetism divine art, he had missed out on a chance to enter the path. Naturally, entering the path was a difficult task. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that only 1 in a billion would be able to do it. This time, Qin Mu simply merged the knowledge of 2 great cultivation systems, combining his knowledge of the runes of the ancient gods' great Tao with the masters of creation's consciousness. The 2 systems of consciousness and vital qi were mixed into one. Only through this could he deduce the 8 heavens of divine arts in one move. However, the knowledge of these 2 great systems hadn't been exhausted. He needed to continue comprehending these 2 systems, so as to push his divine arts to a greater level. He woke up from entering the path and carefully comprehended the knowledge he gained from it. His heart was filled with emotions. I didn't realize entering the path was so easy. The 27 ancestor spirits were silent. Was entering the path really so easy? The Holy Infant, who the masters of creation had spent millions of years waiting for, didn't realize how hurtful his words were. If entering the path was indeed so simple, would the race of masters of creation end up in their current plight? An ancestor spirit said, "We originally thought you would directly achieve 18 heavens of entering the path. We didn't expect it to just be 8. The rest of the gigantic ancestor spirits agreed and nodded their heads. 18 heavens would be considered more appropriate. 8 is deemed a little low. Indeed, as the holy infant of our race, you are naturally a peerless talent. 8 heavens is a little low. Qin Mu stopped talking, his face as black as iron. An ancestor spirit consoled him. It isn't too bad achieving 8 heavens. Ultimately, you have entered the path. Holy infant, there is no need to take it to heart. Compared to ordinary masters of creation, you have done well. Other ancestor spirits said in succession. As long as the holy infant continues to work hard, he can make up for his lack of natural talent. It's okay to be a little stupid. When a slow sparrow makes an early start, achieving great things is still possible. Divine King Lang was smiled ambiguously at these ancestor spirits and coughed. Only then did they stop attacking him and let him off. Qin Mu bowed and expressed his thanks to the ancestor spirits. He said, I have received the wisdom of the masters of creation. Hence, I will try my best to work for the welfare of the masters of creation. The ancestor spirits returned his courtesy and said, Holy infant, don't forget the promise you made today, restoring peace to the Purmitha world and Great Void soon. You can leave now. I won't forget what I have promised. Qin Mu said solemnly. The ancestor spirits faded into the red glow of the ancestor spirit world. One after another, their consciousnesses continued to tremble ambiguously. Everything is good about the holy infant, except he's a little stupid. 8 heavens. Quiet, did you not hear the divine king's cough? She wanted us to stop attacking him. He's already very upset. The wisdom of our entire race in exchange for 8 heavens. Stop talking. Qin Mu's expression was getting worse. Divine King Langwa curled her lips as she tried to hold back her laughter. She then lowered her voice and said, You don't have to listen to their rubbish. 8 heavens of divine arts is considered remarkable. They acted like that because they saw how easily you entered the path. Actually, my race isn't skilled at entering the path, and they haven't been able to reach this level of proficiency in the past. You have to understand, even that thief Qin Yi is only able to achieve 33 heavens of entering the path. Qin Mu said resentfully, I know they're jealous of me. That's why I'm not affected by their words. I am the overlord body, able to fight 10 founding emperors head-on. Although he said this, he appeared to be unconfident. Divine King Langwa took him and flew towards the outside of the ancestor spirit world. Suddenly, Qin Mu remembered something and hurriedly said, Is the ancestor spirit who arrived with the 3 prophecies not in the ancestor spirit world? Why did I not see him? Divine King Langwa hesitated a while before deciding to tell him the reason. That ancestor spirit died after he brought back the 3 prophecies. Although we collected his consciousness and stored it in the ancestor spirit world, his consciousness is a mess and doesn't possess complete thoughts. Hence, the ancestor spirit world is governed by the 27 ancestor spirits. Qin Mu asked, Can I see him? Divine King Langwa hesitated for some time before saying, His consciousness is in a disorderly state. Even if you see him, it'll be useless. However, since he is the one who delivered the 3 prophecies, you being the holy infant of the 3rd prophecy should meet him. She brought Qin Mu to another part of the ancestor spirit world. There was no demarcation of north, south, east, and west. Also, there was no distinction between up or down. This was truly a vast and boundless place. Qin Mu had no idea how she determined her position. The consciousness and thoughts of the ancestor spirit, who delivered the 3 prophecies, were indeed a mess. Other masters of creation could form their consciousness and thoughts into a head-shaped body of flowing light. For him, they were colliding around haphazardly. Some were clumped into lumps of knots, looking like countless balls of wool entangled together. It was indeed a strange scene. Qin Mu stood in front of this ancestor spirit. The light given off by thoughts was disorderly, flashing all sorts of different colors. This meant that his thoughts were in a chaotic state. In the sea of light, Qin Mu saw images that flashed and disappeared instantly. The thoughts of this ancestor spirit were simply too erratic. These images were warped, making it difficult to understand what they meant. Is there really someone who can foresee the future? Qin Mu was a little lost. Divine King Langwa said, Him. She said gently, Senior, the holy infant you prophesied is here to visit you. The moment she stopped speaking, the light from that ancestor spirit's thoughts suddenly disappeared and became incomparably calm. Qin Mu's spirit was greatly roused as he said, "Senior, I am the holy infant that you prophesied. Can you hear me? I would like to know how you are able to foretell such accurate prophecies. Are you able to share?" Divine King Langwa had a strange gaze as she glanced at him. This fellow wasn't there to visit this senior. He was there to learn how he managed to derive his prophecies. The thoughts of the holy infant are clearly different from a normal person. Is it because he has a different brain structure? She glanced at Qin Mu's head as she thought quietly to herself. There were some flashes of light among that ancestor spirit's thoughts, but the frequency was much lower now. His consciousness rippled. Holy infant! Divine King Langwa was delighted. The ancestor spirit actually spoke words that are complete. Is he going to regain his clarity all of a sudden? Qin Mu's consciousness rippled and connected with the consciousness of that ancestor spirit. Yes, it's me, the holy infant in your third prophecy. Senior, all three of your prophecies came true. Can you tell me how you and the ancestor spirits of the masters of creation of the ancestral court managed to get these three prophecies? How did they know what was going to happen in the future? The moment that ancestor spirit touched his consciousness, light from his disorderly thoughts suddenly exploded. Countless light rays flashed wildly among his thoughts, looking very agitated. From the connection of their consciousnesses, Qin Mu felt a majestic voice that was full of rage. So it's you. Qin Mu was stunned. What about me? In his mind he saw a big, tall, and young master of creation with a piece of grand primordium divine stone embedded in the heart of his brows. The face of that master of creation still looked a little childlike, so he shouldn't be too old. As for his body, it was very muscular. From his features, he was already a handsome man of the masters of creation race. Don't you recognize me? I'm Luo Xiao. The thoughts of that ancestor spirit were getting angrier and messier. Countless thoughts and consciousness surged madly towards Qin Mu. You lied to me. UF King lied to me. When Divine King Langwa saw this, she got a fright. She swiftly rushed forward to sever their consciousness connection, then grabbed Qin Mu in her hand as she flew off, saying, "He has gone mad again. The thoughts of this ancestor spirit are in utter chaos. In your terms, he's as good as mad. Let's go." She, together with Qin Mu, fled at great speed. Behind them, the thoughts of ancestor spirit Luo Xiao looked like countless messy balls of entangled thread, waving tentacles that danced and glowed brightly. The tentacles charged towards them as though they wanted to grab them, clearly very angry. Qin Mu had never been pursued by countless balls of thread before. Divine King Langwa frowned and said, "He has often descended into bouts of madness. His thoughts were already very messy. Now it's worse. I can subdue him, but I'll end up hurting him as well. Avoiding him is the better option." Qin Mu's mind was blown. He turned and looked at those threads of thoughts sent by Luo Xiao to kill him and thought, what he said earlier, what does it mean? Could it be that we've met before and I lied to him? How could this be possible? He's obviously someone from a million years ago. The thoughts of ancestor spirit Luo Xiao pursued them madly and angrily. However, Divine King Langwa was much faster. Soon she managed to shake him off, and she flew out of the ancestor spirit world. Close the ancestor spirit world immediately. The moment Divine King Langwa got out, her consciousness rippled, sending her message throughout the Xiao clan. The chiefs, elders, and millions of masters of creation of all the different races immediately halted their sacrificial offerings. The light rays retracted from the sky into the sacrificial altar, and the eye that looked like it belonged to a beautiful lady also gradually became faint and hazy until it finally disappeared. Qin Mu raised his head and saw that just when the ancestor spirit world was disappearing, the thoughts of ancestor spirit Luo Xiao smashed into the barrier and attempted to burrow through. It was good that he was slower by one step and didn't manage to break through the ancestor spirit world. This is the first time we've met. We don't have any deep grudges, so why did he have to pursue me so vigorously? Qin Mu shook his head. He was feeling very puzzled. Divine King Langwa couldn't help but shake her head as well. She sighed and said, "He has really gone mad." She and Qin Mu descended slowly, landing on top of the highest sacrificial altar. Her consciousness transformed into a loud and clear voice, projecting across the land. She said, The Holy Infant has received the approval of our ancestors and has been bestowed with our ancestors' inheritance. He now possesses limitless knowledge and wisdom, and will lead our race towards glory. Qin Mu's face was red as he raised both of his hands to wave at the millions of Masters of Creation. Below, deafening cheers were heard. The Masters of Creation were overcome with emotions. The blood in their chests seethed with excitement as they visualized countless strange apparitions in celebration. Divine King Langwa looked at the bustling, joyous crowd below. Her consciousness gently rippled as she said to Qin Mu, "If you let my race down, I'll definitely kill you without mercy." Qin Mu smiled faintly and said, "Divine King, I'm now a master of creation. Would I betray my own race? Do you trust me?" Divine King Langwa looked at his clear eyes. After some time, she revealed a smile that mesmerized Qin Mu. "I trust you," she said gently. Qin Mu looked at the crowd celebrating beneath the sacrificial altar. The chiefs of each clan were mobilizing their clansmen. "What are they doing?" Qin Mu curiously asked. "They are planning to concentrate everyone's power and visualize you together to strengthen your corporeal body and consciousness." Divine King Langwa said, "We will grant you power like we did the Grand Emperor. Due to the number of Masters of Creation who participated then, we can't recreate it. However, we can still boost your cultivation greatly due to the collective worshipping and visualization by millions of Masters of Creation. It will only take 110 years for your cultivation to reach the level of a strong practitioner of the Emperor's throne, perhaps even stronger. Your corporeal body will also be indestructible as a result." Qin Mu looked at the excited crowd below and thought about the ancient gods like Earth Count and Heaven Duke. He shook his head and said, "Although it can grant me power, worshipping me to become a god limits me too much. I think I should cultivate and elevate my own cultivation." In the past, he wouldn't have rejected such large-scale worshipping and visualization of him. However, today, Qin Mu suspected that the ancient gods were visualized by the Masters of Creation. After all, they were limited by their own great Tao. Perhaps they weren't limited by their own great Tao, but by the thinking of the Masters of Creation who created them. When the Masters of Creation visualized Earth Count, they thought of him as a god of death who was fair. Earth Count thus became an ancient god made out of and restrained by such thoughts. The one restraining Earth Count was his body, which was created by the Masters of Creation's visualization and thoughts. However, the Masters of Creation being the creators of the ancient gods was merely a speculation of his. He didn't know the specifics. The reason that Qin Mu had such a theory was due to Divine King Langwa's mount, the Rainbow Phoenix. He felt that the Phoenix and the ancient gods were in similar predicaments, which made him not want to be visualized by the masses. Divine King Langwa glanced at him and sent out waves of consciousness to notify the chiefs. The chiefs of the various clans heard it and were shocked. However, they had to obey it, for it was Qin Mu and the Divine King's orders. Qin Mu felt relaxed when he saw the masses disperse. There were too many limitations to the ancient gods. One had a body that wasn't one's own. The ancient gods tried so many tricks to get out of their restraints. Wouldn't it thus be stupid for him to voluntarily be restrained? How could you reject the Masters of Creation's worship? Shu Jun's large head flew over, and he bitterly said, "You missed your chance at becoming the Grand Emperor." Qin Mu smiled. "Becoming the Grand Emperor? My goals are far bigger. How can being the Grand Emperor satisfy me?" Shu Jun felt that it was a pity. He shook his head and said, "You don't know how terrifying the Grand Emperor was. Even if I wanted to be a being like the Grand Emperor, they wouldn't let me. Shu Jun, they created one Grand Emperor already, and that almost led them to extinction. Why would they do it again?" Qin Mu smiled and said, "If I did become another Grand Emperor, what if I too chose to eliminate all Masters of Creation to secure my reign? I'm the Masters of Creation's holy infant, not a ruler like the Grand Emperor. Otherwise, what would be the difference between us?" Shu Jun stared at him, but his eyeballs didn't jump out this time. He said, "You actually made sense this time, it's just, are you really that kind? I don't believe it, you're too sly." Qin Mu smiled gently and said to Divine King Langwa, "Sister, let them rest so they can recover their energy and consciousness. After they recover, we shall head to Carefree Village." Divine King Langwa was shocked as she asked, "All?" Qin Mu nodded. "Yes, all." Divine King Langwa frowned slightly and expressed her doubt, saying, Won't that be too vast and obvious? She didn't want to say it, but Shu Jun couldn't help but say what she was really thinking. All? Are you hoping to wreck your ancestors' place? When the time comes, are you sure that your ancestors won't kill you? Qin Mu laughed, shook his head and said, I want the Masters of Creation to talk with Carefree Village and Founding Emperor. If I don't unleash our power, even if Founding Emperor agrees to it, his officers might not agree to live peacefully with us. His gaze flashed as he leisurely said, when two giants negotiate, they must be equal. He excitedly thought, it would be best to scare Founding Emperor witless. Divine King Lang gave him a deep look before informing all of the chiefs to rest their clansmen. Around 5 days later, the Masters of Creation who participated in the offering recovered their consciousness to peak condition. Divine King Lang informed the chiefs to mobilize their clansmen to Carefree Village. When that order came, all of the Masters of Creation were excited. They said, as expected of the Holy Infant, he's going to strike at Carefree Village already. Thief Qin has been rubbing me the wrong way for a long time. The Holy Infant is a saint from heaven sent to lead us to eradicate the enemies. We shouldn't be too careless. After all, they have a weird infant with a large head that's super powerful. The Holy Infant can beat him up. Naturally. Qin Mu and Divine King Lang stood on the high ground. Qin Mu saw the Masters of Creation leading their armies and families, and he frowned. The Masters of Creation deployed their divine arts by cultivating consciousness and used visualization to create their artifacts. Hence, everyone's consciousness and divine arts were different. The same could be said for their mounts. It was normal to visualize beasts like dragons or phoenixes as mounts, but many people visualized weird mounts. The mount of the Zili chief, a giant white silkworm, was already weird enough. Yet there were also large spiders, an 8-legged monster, a feathered snake, a large kraken, and even a god *emin tree. Outside of that, there were various flying houses with legs that were on top of boats and treasure carriages. Some people even sat in a giant egg. There were many more holy objects flying that carried hundreds of Masters of Creation. Some of them sat on planets that had elders pushing them. The elders would jump onto the planet after pushing it, so they would be carried towards Carefree Village. Many more young Masters of Creation had to visualize wings and fly themselves due to their lacking cultivation. Even then, their wings weren't uniform. Some were large while some were small. Some were long while some were short. Some even had colorful wings. The elements of the wings were different too. Some had thunder, while others had wind or fire. One pair even gave off floodwater via torrential rain. This wasn't what made Qin Mu speechless, however. What made him speechless was how the Masters of Creation marched in a messy manner. They dragged around as if they were fleeing. They didn't look like a force that could scare Carefree Village. Qin Mu was so angry that his hands trembled. He breathed in and whispered, even if we let Imperial Preceptor train them, it would take decades before they became an orderly and useful army. How can such a scattered force scare a powerful ruler like Founding Emperor witless? He knew how powerful the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens was, be it in their formations or tactics. The Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens had formed a powerful civilization. The gods and devils that had experienced countless battles had greater control over the battlefield than the Masters of Creation. In a one-on-one, the Masters of Creation were too powerful. However, in a large-scale war, the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens was far more powerful. There were terrifying beings like Heavenly Teacher Zixi, Yin Yunxi, in the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens. Scholar Zixi, also known as Yin Yunxi, had the highest attainment in formations. She dared to scheme against 2 Mother Earths by herself and could destroy strong practitioners of the Emperor's throne like martial arts Heavenly Teacher Guan Cha. Besides, the teleportation formations and divine arts were products of the Founding Emperor era. They represented the highest attainment in algebra at that time. Divine King Lang said, "Don't worry, Holy Infant, you just have to communicate with them via consciousness to get them in a formation and orderly." Qin Mu sighed and said, "An orderly army isn't an army that can't lose. One still has to get them to form various formations and be skilled in various tactics. They have to form different killing formations between different formations, and every Master of Creation's divine weapons and divine arts are to become a part of it. It's too messy now." He sighed and said, If we head to Carefree Village in such a messy manner, we will merely amuse Founding Emperor. It won't be deploying an army but making a fool of ourselves. Now, we can only try to get them into a formation. However, my consciousness isn't strong enough to deploy all of them. Divine King Langwa said. You can use mine to contact everyone to deploy troops and formations. Qin Mu sighed. That's the only option. His consciousness was interlocked with Divine King Langwa's, and he instantly felt how deep her consciousness was. It was like a vast ocean with no end in sight. When their consciousnesses moved, Qin Mu could feel his vision stretching out to an unknown distance. He could also clearly contact every master of creation as W.L. Every master of creation's thoughts were also clearly reflected in his head too. Such a strong consciousness was immeasurably deep. With the help of Divine King Langwa, it was way easier for him to mobilize every master of creation. He thought, such a way of deployment and mobilization should be spread to eternal peace. This combination of consciousness and vital chi should be spread there too. We could easily forge an invincible army. On the way, he used Divine King Langwa's consciousness to order every master of creation, getting them to change formations and adjust them. He got them to abandon those messy visualized items. Instead, he got them to only visualize one thing per formation. For those masters of creation who didn't listen, Qin Mu got the chiefs and elders to restrain them. If the elders didn't listen, the chiefs were to reprimand them. If the chiefs didn't listen, Divine King Langwa would handle it. This method of training an army while marching was tough, but by using Divine King Langwa's consciousness to deploy the masters of creation, he finally got them to stop running around like headless chickens while marching, after several months that is. Qin Mu now knew why the founding Emperor Celestial Heavens lost so quickly without the command of the four great heavenly kings. It was taboo to change formations and generals when facing a great enemy. The four great heavenly kings of the founding Emperor Celestial Heavens were in control of the army, but they couldn't participate due to various reasons. So the four great heavenly teachers took command, and it led to their defeat. If training an army was so difficult, one could imagine how much more difficult it was to suddenly change formations and generals. It's not enough to be orderly. This formation is meant to scare people only. It's but a fabrication. However, it would be difficult to scare formation experts like Yan Yunqi. Qin Mu's heart was on tenterhooks. Hopefully, she is still at Fengdu and hasn't returned to Carefree Village yet. Carefree Village, 33 Heavens. Founding Emperor came to the Permitha world and made a small piece of land into 33 Heavens, building Carefree Village. Ever since then, Carefree Village had been suffering from disasters. The star creators of the Masters of Creation created countless stars to surround the 33 Heavens of Carefree Village. They cut off all of its paths and sometimes stars even crashed into Carefree Village. Every now and then, the Sky Supervising Department of Carefree Village had to alert the gods to burst the planets and stars to keep Carefree Village safe. Every now and then, the Masters of Creation would come out of the stars to attack Carefree Village, causing a lot of trouble and casualties. Only when Founding Emperor's 107th descendant, Qin Fengqing, came back from the outside world with his parents did the situation improve. Every invading Master of Creation was eaten by Qin Fengqing. It was then that the invasions stopped. Now there were countless stars and debris that locked Carefree Village in. Only a few gods could come out of Carefree Village via boats. In the 33rd heaven, many reports came in. Yan Yunqi, who was dressed like a male scholar, looked at the report and laughed. These Masters of Creation learned how to deploy a formation. How interesting. Their formation is a mere bluff, though. Their formations pale in comparison to mine. Emperor, have you recovered from your injury? Founding Emperor frowned and said, Yes, I have. There's no need to worry about me. This mobilization of the Masters of Creation seems to be a move to eradicate us. Yan Yunqi smiled. Why are you so worried, Emperor? With me they can't stir much of a wave. Founding Emperor sighed and said, I'm not worried about us, I'm worried about Qin Mu. I'm afraid that they might sacrifice him. Yan Yunqi frowned and sighed too. He's always like that, obstinate and self-opinionated. He always likes playing with fire and gambling his life. How foolish. That Divine King Lang was too intelligent and gutsy to not realize his roots and use it against us. When the army reaches here, they will probably sacrifice him in front of us. Carefree Village is in front. In the center of the Master of Creation army, Qin Mu Yu's divine King Lang was consciousness to transmit his words to everyone. He hollered, "Thief Qin is over there. Everyone, put in your best effort and scare him witless." In the void, millions of Masters of Creation's consciousnesses congregated to form an earth-shattering sound. Scare him witless. Within Carefree Village's 33 heavens, there was an austere atmosphere. The various great armies of the founding Emperor Celestial Heavens had already finished organizing themselves. Their respective generals traversed amongst the formations, yelling out in high voices endlessly to give the soldiers encouragement. The main motive of the 33 heavens in gathering a great army was to protect the citizens that had fled there. There were countless god cities there that were easy to defend and hard to invade. The various branches of the army also had seamless coordination that the ragtag bunch of Masters of Creation would find difficult to match up to. Yet, despite being a plate of scattered sand, the Masters of Creation had extremely formidable fighting prowess, and even the adolescent Masters of Creation were extremely terrifying. By the age of 3, these Masters of Creation were already capable of fighting and killing dragons. This wasn't something the other races could match up to. Perhaps only an existence such as son of Yudu Qin Fengqing could surpass them in the infant state. Everyone was raising their heads to look up towards the sky. There were countless massive planets bustling about in the sky, filling it up entirely. There were whole planets and damaged planets that squeezed together and collided with each other. In the past 20,000 years, the Masters of Creation invaded them from time to time, causing great death and destruction to Carefree Village. The Dead Star Zone was even more dangerous, as Masters of Creation frequently hid there, visualizing all sorts of monsters that would invade Carefree Village. They would also visualize all kinds of natural disasters such as tempests, great floods, and hurricanes, making it difficult for Carefree Village to bear such harassment. And right now, they had received news that the Masters of Creation had actually gathered their entire race for an attack, and were about to arrive at Carefree Village. Even though the 33 heavens of Carefree Village had been forged to become an impenetrable iron fortress over the years, ultimately, the ones who were attacking them were the Masters of Creation. Could their god cities really resist the invasion of these Masters of Creation? Suddenly, the sky crumbled and split open. A pair of extremely coarse giant hands poked out from the sky, pushing away the planets as though they were pushing marbles. Following it, more and more Masters of Creation appeared, pinching the planets to place them in the distance. The Masters of Creation grew exponentially in number, and in no time, a large area in the zone of dead stars that encircled Carefree Village had been cleared out. To shift about and change the stars, even the gods of Carefree Village wouldn't be able to do that so easily. The expressions of the god generals of Carefree Village's 33 heavens grew solemn, and they involuntarily gripped their divine weapons tightly. Cold sweat broke out on the forehead of one of the soldiers, dripping into his eyes, and he hurriedly pulled open his helmet to wipe it away. He was spotted by a general, who immediately chided him, telling him to hurry and wear his helmet properly. In the city, a child was crying before his mother covered his mouth such that he could only make muffled noises. In the sky, an enormous face emerged and scanned through the god cities. "Don't take any action," a god general cried out. "Send my orders down, don't take any action. Wait for the enemy to enter Carefree Village. Await my command." The gods that defended the innumerous god cities were growing increasingly anxious. They gathered their vital chi, and behind them, their celestial palaces swayed about. Their primordial spirits within the celestial palaces were also at their maximum strength, as they prepared to attack on command. Yet, the Masters of Creation in the sky gradually faded away. The great army of gods and devils and the common citizens of Carefree Village raised their heads to look beyond the sky. As seasoned in battle as they were at this moment, they still couldn't help but feel somewhat fearful. Beyond the sky, there were countless imposing figures that resembled ancient gods that stood upright in the void. They stood in an organized formation, radiating an aura of murderous intent. Looking from Carefree Village, the Masters of Creation in the sky went as far as the eyes could see. These Masters of Creation were standing extremely upright, wearing dazzling-looking armor from head to toe, and they each held divine weapons that were obviously stained with God knows how much fresh blood. In addition, those divine weapons were so big in size that it looked as though it would only require one or two of them to destroy an entire god city, completely crushing it into smithereens. What was even more terrifying was that the masters of creation in the sky beyond were separated into different formations, and within every formation, there were different divine armors and weapons. The divine armors and weapons were completely filled with incredibly complicated-looking patterns formed by runes. It was evident that every single weapon had been through countless refinements, and that hidden within them were God knows how many terrifying formation divine arts. Every weapon was the most terrifying killing divine weapon. Within Carefree Village, even the general in command of the great army of gods and devils was breaking out in a cold sweat at this very moment, his palms trembling a little. Clang! He heard a noise from behind him, and he turned around to look. One of the soldiers hadn't held on to his divine weapon properly, and it had fallen onto the ground. "Pick it up!" he commanded in a low voice. The soldier anxiously picked up his divine weapon and raised his head to look out beyond the sky. Suddenly, his gaze was fixed, and his mouth opened wide. He was speechless. The general hurriedly turned back and looked towards the sky. His palm shook involuntarily, and he almost failed to hold on to his own weapon. Beyond the sky, the millions of masters of creation cried out, and behind them, a sea of divine light burst forth as countless large-scale celestial palaces emerged from the void. There was a sea of innumerous celestial palaces, and almost every master of creation had about 3 celestial palaces behind them. Some even had more than a dozen celestial palaces that formed a small celestial heavens. This sight made everyone feel helpless. Although the masters of creation from the Permitha world were extremely formidable in their consciousness visualization, and had also accepted the system of divine treasures and celestial palaces, it was quite unbelievable that they had already advanced to such levels. One should be aware that even in Carefree Village, only a minority had been able to cultivate a small celestial heavens technique. Yet, it seemed that almost every single one of the millions of masters of creation had already successfully cultivated the small celestial heavens technique. In the pure jade skies, the big-headed weird infant Qin Fengqing was also completely suited up with 2 large round hammers gripped in his hands. It was a heavy-duty divine weapon that Founding Emperor had ordered the heavenly workers in Carefree Village to customize for him to use against the masters of creation. The armor he wore was also carefully forged. The runes imprinted onto the armor were formations that were designed to target the attacks of the masters of creation's consciousness. When Qin Fengqing saw this sight in the sky outside, he immediately clamped the 2 round hammers under his armpits and turned around to walk into the Founding Emperor's celestial palace. Princess Consort Zhen hurriedly followed behind him and asked, "Fengqing, where are you going?" "Tidy up valuables, prepare to escape." The big-headed infant turned around and continued, "Mother, you come too. This is no longer a Carefree Village. Those tasty things have attacked all the way here, and even I won't be able to defend against them. I might even be eaten by them. Mother, go and ask father to come. We have a ship we can leave from the back. I will bring you all back to Yudu. Earth Count said that if I return, he'll do everything he can to protect me. Our family can still survive." Princess Consort Zhen replied angrily, "Our people are all here, how can we abandon them and escape by ourselves?" Qin Fengqing scratched his head and replied, "If not, you can also ask them to come along, but not all of them. If there are too many people, I won't be able to ensure the safety of everyone. Also, I don't think Earth Count will be willing to take in so many people." Princess Consort Zhen was enraged, and she jumped onto his shoulder. She pulled on his ear and dragged him back as she yelled, "There's even less chance of survival out there. If we defend Carefree Village and fight until the end, there's a possibility of survival. Have you forgotten about your younger brother? Your younger brother has been captured by those masters of creation, but instead of trying to save him, you're trying to escape. I feel ashamed for you. Stop pulling, stop pulling." Qin Fengqing followed after her and walked back to the front of the formation as he cried out, "I'm already an adult now, so stop pulling at my ear. I'm greatly respected by the people of Carefree Village. It's so embarrassing when you pull at my ear. Bad younger brother won't die. I've never seen him die before. He's most likely hiding amongst the tasty food and secretly laughing at us." Princess Consort Zhen dragged him to the front of the formation as Founding Emperor was joking with Qin Hanjin and the others. These celestial palaces, they almost look real. It's scary. Next to founding emperor, the many great experts exuded fiery auras that rushed into the sky, forming all sorts of apparitions as they inspected the great army of masters of creation. Truly, they look like the real thing. It's a pity that they replicated them too much. Yin Yunqi giggled. There are a total of 14 types of celestial palaces behind these masters of creation. Some of these celestial palaces are even incomplete. Evidently, someone has exhibited 14 types of celestial palaces to these masters of creation to let them visualize them, pretending that it's their own so that they can intimidate us. Qin Hanjin laughed. The divine armor and divine weapons on them are also products of visualization. They aren't real. The runes on the armor of every battalion of the masters of creation, as well as their divine weapons, are also different. There are about 1,000 masters of creation in every battalion, and the millions of them are divided into 1,000 battalions. The armor and divine weapon structures are different for every single battalion. Just to design the structures of the armor and divine weapons would require a vast array of knowledge. This kind of reminds me of someone. Yin Yunqi and the others all nodded their heads and laughed. We are also reminded of someone. Wen Tiange, Heavenly Master One. His wealth of knowledge is immense and he has broad horizons. He's also the smartest man in the world. He's a perfectionist when it comes to doing things. If he was the one who set all this up, he would definitely try his best to design it to its most perfect state. Founding Emperor continued, this is exactly the kind of person he is. Yet this is also what restricts his achievements. His knowledge is too varied, which results in his inability to merge all of the knowledge he has and use it together. This inhibits the growth of his cultivation. Yin Yunqi laughed. Your Majesty may be unaware, but he has accepted 3 disciples, and each of them inherited some of his strengths and flaws. There is one thing in common for all 3 of his disciples. They're all perfectionists. The second disciple is one of you Qin's. Qin Hanjin looked at her strangely. What heavenly teacher Zi she is trying to say is? Yin Yunqi continued. The son of Qin not only hasn't been killed as a sacrifice, but he has actually become the holy infant of the masters of creation and become the leader of the masters of creation race. Qin Hanjin cried out. You're suggesting that the one who came up with this setup was Moore? Founding Emperor replied indifferently. The mastermind behind these masters of creation is him. Crushing our borders with a great army and such a formidable battle formation. This brat is truly audacious. If any of you see him, remember to call him Celestial Venerable Mu. Don't treat him as a son of Qin. Everyone was taken aback, not knowing what he meant. Founding Emperor continued. He has the bloodline of the Qin family, but he owes no debt of nurturing or teaching to the Qin family. Moreover, he has already repaid the debt of life to the Qin family. He is, after all, a celestial venerable. To call him by his title is to show respect. Qin Hanjin furrowed his brows, sensing that this old ancestor was a little angry, though it was quite understandable. After all, only a handful of people would be able to tell that the celestial palaces of these masters of creation were products of visualization. The rest of them were scared witless by the sight of this great army of masters of creation. Even Qin Fengqing was so afraid that he was about to escape. And this was all the result of Qin Mu's doing. How could Founding Emperor not be angry? Beyond the sky, Qin Mu's 14 celestial palaces floated behind him. He made use of Divine King Lang's consciousness to send the structures of his own 14 celestial palaces to the minds of the masters of creation, so that they could visualize and form them. Shu Jun coughed and reminded him. Holy Infant, are you not worried that you may be overdoing it with this? Is it too much? Qin Mu laughed coldly. When Eternal Peace most needed the protection of Carefree Village, with one command, all of the gods were transferred away such that Eternal Peace was left to resist the celestial heavens on its own. I don't think I'm overdoing things. He shouldn't have given Eternal Peace hope, and then taken it all away in an instant. Eternal Peace, heh. His resentment towards Founding Emperor had never been fully resolved. From the start to the end, Eternal Peace has always been mere ordinary folks that were abandoned by him. He didn't just abandon us once, it was 2 times. The one who saved the people of Eternal Peace has never been him. It was First Ancestor. He stood up, floating atop Divine King Lang's shoulder as he stepped on empty air to reach the woman's earlobe and said, "Sister, your consciousness is boundless. Inform everyone in Carefree Village that the Divine King and Holy Infant of the Masters of Creation race would like to have a discussion with Founding Emperor to settle the eternal peace between the two races. Ask him if he dares to come forth." Within Carefree Village's 33 heavens, everyone had sensed the surging consciousness from Divine King Lang. The Masters of Creation had attacked them with such great fanfare, yet had announced that they were actually here to make peace, intending to have a meeting with Founding Emperor. This seemed to be a little strange. The Masters of Creation came with an overpowering aura, and judging by the scene, it was evident that they had a definite upper hand, and that it would only be too easy for them to exterminate Carefree Village. So how could it be possible that they would want to make peace under such circumstances? It's most likely a trap to lure Founding Emperor out so that they can eliminate him. This was the guess that many had. Looking at the scene right now, it really did look like a trap. However, at this time, a goddess with unparalleled beauty flew out from the Masters of Creation camp. She gently drew a line in the space between their camp and Carefree Village, and a platform appeared in the void. Everyone was able to see clearly all happenings on that platform. The female Divine King's figure grew smaller and smaller, and finally, she was the size of a regular person. She flew onto the platform with a youthful-looking male dressed in red robes, alongside a huge head, and they waited there quietly. In the Carefree Village Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens, Founding Emperor was silent for a moment before he said to Qin Hanjin and Yan Yunxi, "Both of you shall accompany me there. Remember, you must not call him by his name. Addressing him as Celestial Venerable Mu or Holy Infant will do." Qin Hanjin and Yan Yunxi agreed. Yan Yunxi laughed. King Zhen is his birth father, so he probably won't be too harsh. Qin Hanjin remained silent. The three of them flew out from the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens and landed on that platform, facing Qin Mu, Divine King Lang, and Divine King Shujun directly. Qin Mu waved his hand, and a long table appeared alongside 6 chairs with each pair of chairs facing each other. He raised a hand and smiled. "Celestial Venerable Qin, please take a seat." "Mu." Qin Hanjin opened his mouth to speak, but he quickly corrected himself. "Celestial Venerable Mu, after you." Everyone got into their seats. This platform was in the central zone that divided the two camps, and everything that happened on the platform could be observed clearly by either party. Qin Mu and Divine King Lang was sat down, while Divine King Shujun also rested in his chair. Divine King Shujun's huge eyes rolled about, inspecting the three sitting opposite them. Divine King Lang was said, "Qin Yi, this is the Holy Infant of my Masters of Creation race." The Founding Emperor nodded and replied, "I've long heard of your great name." Qin Mu smiled slightly in return. Divine King Lang continued, "This is Divine King Shujun, a divine king from the previous generation of our Masters of Creation race." Founding Emperor replied, "I've long heard of your great name." Divine King Shujun laughed. "You must not have heard of my title, as I have been dead for God knows how many tens of thousands of years." Founding Emperor smiled slightly, and Yan Yunxi beside him laughed. "It's truly interesting that the Holy Infant of the Masters of Creation is the great Celestial Venerable Mu. Is Celestial Venerable Mu not of the human race?" Qin Mu smiled but didn't reply. Divine King Lang looked around and said, "The Holy Infant has the ability to create, so there's no issue as to whether he is from the human race or the Masters of Creation race. If there are two deep-rooted prejudices amongst races, it would just make us look petty and narrow-minded." Yan Yunxi smiled. Back then, that wasn't what Divine King Lang said. Back then, when we came to the Permitha world to build Carefree Village, Divine King Lang and the Masters of Creation race viewed us as aliens who came to invade you, and you intended to annihilate us. Divine King Lang glanced at her. The hanging beads on her phoenix crown shook slightly, and she replied steadily, "Every inch of land and every area of space of the Permitha world was forged by the consciousness of my Masters of Creation race. It is soaked in the fresh blood of our people. After experiencing the near extinction of our race, the Masters of Creation escaped to this place. It is the final resting and repopulating ground of our race. When Dao friend Qin Yi came here from afar, our race was always welcoming and courteous, and we never cheated you, am I right?" Founding Emperor nodded. When I first followed the map and came here, that is true. I am indebted to Divine King's cordial hospitality, and I cannot thank you enough. Divine King Langwa continued. Dao friend Qinyi said that your people were in danger and had come here to borrow some resting ground. On account of us sharing a similar fate, our people allowed you to stay here for survival. Dao friend Qinyi, you said you would like to borrow a small piece of land that would be divided by your sword. And we agreed, am I right? Founding Emperor nodded silently. Divine King Langwa continued coldly. We treated you with sincerity, yet with one strike of your sword, Dao friend Qinyi sliced away half the land in my Permitha world. Although my race is generous, we aren't generous to such an extent. We were sincere towards you, yet Dao friend Qinyi played tricks with us. If you were in our shoes and others were to come and take away half of your carefree village, would you be agreeable? Yan Yunshi replied. Although His Majesty did play a trick when he asked for the small piece of land divided by his sword, the Masters of Creation race also didn't keep to their word. Instead, they led their people to attack us. This resulted in casualties on both ends. The people of Carefree Village suffered even greater losses. Divine King Langwa laughed coldly. As to what is right and what is wrong, does Heavenly Teacher Zishi not have an answer in your heart? Yan Yunshi replied. The number of people and gods and devils that died at the hands of you, the Masters of Creation, is thousands of times more than the number of you who have died. Where do these dead people go to redress their injustices? How do you speak of what is right and wrong? Divine King, Carefree Village never wanted to become enemies with the Masters of Creation. We merely sought a place to rest. His Majesty also said back then that we were only borrowing land for our survival, that he was waiting for someone to come. When that person comes, we will leave this place and return Carefree Village to you. So why is it that you are all intent on annihilating us? Shu Jun raged, saying, You came to invade my race and you don't allow us to retaliate? Is that reasonable? Yan Yunshi was about to speak when Founding Emperor raised a hand to stop her from continuing. Heavenly Teacher, we were in the wrong first. The Divine King can't be blamed. He looked to Qin Mu and asked, Does the Holy Infant have anything to say? Qin Mu replied, We are all distressed people from all over the place, sharing similar fates, yet you are bullying the other distressed people. It's truly not acceptable. Qin Hanjin coughed. Celestial Venerable Mu, as one of the human race, you should think for the sake of the human race, and you should think from the perspective of the situation the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens were in back then. Qin Mu replied indifferently, I would also like to think from your perspective. It's just that I can't seem to recall if you all have ever done the same. When the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens was annihilated, the citizens of the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens all scattered and drifted from place to place. There were casualties and ones who escaped. The lucky 1% who survived, they escaped to eternal peace. Has Founding Emperor ever spared a thought for them? I guess not. Are those people not people? Are the descendants of those people not people? Oh yes, they are the ones abandoned by the gods. He sneered. I originally thought that the great ruins were the ones abandoned by the gods. It was only later on that I knew it wasn't the great ruins but eternal peace who were the abandoned ones. Back then, I still foolishly believed that eternal peace was the abandoned people of the gods of the celestial heavens. Only later on did I realize that I was wrong. Eternal peace wasn't abandoned by the celestial heavens. They are the people abandoned by Founding Emperor. Qin Hanjin furrowed his brows and couldn't help but add, the situation back then, the whole Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens was about to be annihilated. We could only salvage the strength of the core members and their power, so we were unable to protect those mortals. Only by doing that would we have the opportunity to retaliate in the future. Celestial Venerable Mu, try to think from this angle. If you were in that situation, you would also have done the same. If I were in that situation? Qin Mu replied indifferently. The outbreak in eternal peace wasn't much different from what the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens faced back then. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor didn't escape to Carefree Village. Emperor Yanfeng didn't escape to Carefree Village. They both stayed with the citizens that they sought to protect. I didn't leave either. Were they unable to leave? Was I unable to leave? His gaze landed on Founding Emperor's face. This is where Founding Emperor is inferior to me, to Emperor Yanfeng, and to Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. Back then you left. You took your strongest away with you and built Carefree Village, doing and achieving absolutely nothing in the last 20,000 years, and you made no contributions either. Because you all left, there no longer existed the founding emperor era. We didn't leave, we stayed behind, and thus the eternal peace era still exists. Heh, to imagine myself to be in your situation. He exclaimed proudly. When I was in your situation, I did better than you. Emperor Yanfeng and Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor did better than you. The subordinates of Eternal Peace also did better than your subordinates. Qin Hanjin didn't speak any further. Founding Emperor nodded. You all did a lot better than I did back then. Back in the Dragon Han era, I already admired you greatly. I thought that you were a hero. I am not. I am unable to be like you, to do the things a hero would do. Your Majesty. Yin Yunqi frowned. Why are you calling yourself useless? Even if we really fight, Carefree Village is fearless. Why is there a need to lower your head to him? His so-called formations of the Masters of Creation, and his so-called celestial palaces and divine weapons, to me there are plenty of loopholes abound. It's obvious that they are just trying to intimidate us. Qin Mu glanced at her and smiled slightly. Heavenly Teacher Zishi, what you see is what I want you to see. If I truly wished to exterminate Carefree Village, you wouldn't be able to stop it. Yin Yunqi was enraged, and she gritted her teeth in anger. Qin Mu continued indifferently. You have all hidden in Carefree Village for too long. You don't understand the complete transformations of the outside world. You have lost your will to improve and lost your will to fight. I can train the Masters of Creation to reach this standard in 1 month's time, and in no time, I will be able to improve their divine arts and skills to yet another level. If I leave this time, the next time I lead my army into Carefree Village, what you will see will no longer be visualized celestial palaces and divine weapons and armor. Yin Yunqi snorted, turning her head away as she gritted her teeth. I should have just let Lu Zheng kick you to death back then. Qin Mu's gaze returned to Founding Emperor. You are too calm, too calculative, always looking in front and back. I am less calculative and I am more reckless when I do things. I really did lead the army here to intimidate you, but the Masters of Creation and Carefree Village also really need to make peace. Thus, while I am intimidating you, I am also here to have peace talks with you. Founding Emperor replied. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Qin Mu looked at Divine King Langhua, and Divine King Langhua nodded gently. Carefree Village will be handed to you, and you will get full control of it. The Masters of Creation won't come to make trouble again. However, in exchange, son of Yudu Qin Fengqing will open Yudu in the Permitha world and the land of the Great Void, creating another Yudu to gather the wandering spirits to create peace in the land of the Great Void. Qin Mu continued. The land of the Great Void will be controlled by the Masters of Creation. Carefree Village is not to interfere with any affairs there. As the Earth Count of the Great Void's Yudu, the son of Yudu must be fair and just in handling matters. He must set up and adhere to the cycle of life and death, and must not swallow up souls based on his own preferences. If Carefree Village can do all of this, the two races will be able to get along harmoniously and resist formidable enemies together. Speaking up to this point, he looked towards Divine King Langhua and asked, Does Big Sister have anything else to add? Divine King Langhua's gaze flickered. Carefree Village shall come to the territory of the Masters of Creation to build academies and schools to impart paths, skills, and divine arts. In exchange, the Masters of Creation can also set up academies in Carefree Village to impart the way to cultivate consciousness. Qin Mu leaned backward and rested on the back of his seat as he smiled. What does Celestial Venerable Qin think of this? Founding Emperor replied. What Celestial Venerable Mu has suggested is extremely right. I haven't wasted a trip here. Do our races need to set up any form of pact? There's no need. With the table between them, Qin Mu stretched out a palm. We just have to shake hands, and the oath of our alliance will be considered sealed. Founding Emperor stretched out a hand, and they gripped onto each other tightly. Founding Emperor revealed a smile and looked at him from top to bottom, laughing. Celestial Venerable Mu is still wearing your red robes. Could it be that you are still wearing a large red belly band underneath? Qin Mu retracted his palm and leaned back in the chair. He raised his brows and replied, Yes, I'm not even wearing underwear inside. Why do you wish to beat me up? I do. Founding Emperor nodded his head heavily. Founding Emperor leaned back in his chair, stretched out a single palm, and spread his 5 fingers apart as he laughed. I want to beat you up this many times. Qin Mu burst out laughing, crossing one ankle over his other leg and leaning one arm across the back of Divine King Shujun's chair. He replied leisurely, "You are copying me again. Why doesn't Celestial Venerable Qin beat me up 10 times? Divine King Shujun was very uncomfortable, but because he only had one big head left, he was unable to remove Qin Mu's hand. Put your leg down. Qin Hanjin finally couldn't suppress himself. Green veins popped on his forehead as he growled in a low voice. Your leg hairs are showing. Look at yourself. You're not even wearing anything inside. Qin Mu hurriedly put down his leg and sat upright and still. Divine King Langwa laughed softly as she helped Qin Mu pull down his red robes to cover his legs. On both sides, the great armies of Carefree Village and the Masters of Creation were filled with murderous intent, looking poised to start the fight at any time. Yet, the atmosphere on the platform was no longer as tense as it was before. Qin Mu laughed. On my father's account, I'll give you some face and won't beat you up today. I'll go home to visit in a few days. Go and ask my brother to hurry and create the Permitha worlds you do. I can get the Masters of Creation to help out as well. Qin Hanjin furrowed his brows. Don't come home. I won't allow you to come back. Upon saying that, he took a quick glance at Founding Emperor's expression. Yin Yunqi laughed. King Zhen, don't be like that. Previously, we were discussing the important affairs of the 2 races. Now it's alright if we discuss family matters. Since birth, Celestial Venerable Mu has been wandering about outside. And yet now that he has come to Carefree Village, he's not allowed to take a look? Don't you think that's a little unreasonable no matter how you look at it? Qin Mu smiled. Heavenly Teacher Zishi is right. My coming here was exactly to seek out Carefree Village, to go home to visit my parents and my brother, as well as visit Founding Emperor. How can I not enter the door when I have already arrived at the doorstep? Go home to receive a beating? Qin Hanjin huffed before he glanced at Founding Emperor again. Qin Mu didn't take it to heart and replied, Back then I didn't lose and now all the more I definitely won't lose. Founding Emperor, am I right? Founding Emperor stood up and smiled warmly. It's good if you return home to take a look. Now that we have set down our oath of peace between the 2 races, I will also need to return to make some preparations and let Fengqing open up the Permitha worlds you do, and set up the cycle of life and death in the Permitha world. When will Celestial Venerable Mu come to Carefree Village to visit your family? Qin Mu replied politely, in 2 months. Creating the Permitha worlds you do will also require quite some time. After all, it's a huge project. I will mobilize the Masters of Creation alongside the Divine King to help brother create Yudu. Founding Emperor also replied politely, Then, I'll await your arrival in 2 months. Heavenly Teacher Hanjin, let's go. Qin Mu and Divine King Langwa sent them off, but Founding Emperor hurriedly stopped them. There's no need to send us any further. Carefree Village is very near. It's just around the corner. Qin Mu watched as they walked off the platform, and Qin Hanjin turned around to whisper, Don't come back. With that, he followed after Founding Emperor and Yin Yunqi to return to Carefree Village. Big sister, setting this oath of peace with Carefree Village, will it cause unhappiness amongst the Masters of Creation? Qin Mu turned his head to ask the lady beside him. Divine King Langwa shook her head. You are the Holy Infant. Your decision represents the decision of all Masters of Creation, as well as the decision of the Ancestor Spirits. They won't go against your decision. Come to think of it, us Masters of Creation are actually failures. We are merely hiding here, and we don't have much ambition. We merely seek peace and survival. She paused for a while before adding, I will use my consciousness to show them the future that will come with this oath of peace. When they see the future with the Permitha worlds you do, they will understand what you are doing. Furthermore, the ancestor spirits in the land of the Great Void that have become monsters will be able to attain peace. This will make them respect you even more. Qin Mu expressed his thanks. Divine King Langwa noticed that his gaze kept falling onto Carefree Village's 33 heavens, and she could sense that he dearly missed his hometown. She asked, Are you really going to wait for 2 months before you enter Carefree Village? Qin Mu smiled. Of course not. I will definitely secretly sneak in to see what Carefree Village has achieved in the past 20,000 years. Divine King Lang blinked her bright and beautiful eyes, bearing great curiosity towards Qin Mu's thoughts. The reforms of founding emperor take a top-down approach. When the gods and devils have undergone the reforms, they will impart the results of the reforms to their people. Qin Mu's gaze twinkled. Then, the things taught in the schools and academies of Carefree Village will be the ultimate arts of the founding Emperor Celestial Heavens. They would have done all they could to teach the mortals so that they would also be able to become divine arts practitioners, become gods. Thus, in the next 2 months, I intend to start my journey from Supreme Emperor Heaven of Carefree Village, and observe whether the paths, skills, and divine arts of Carefree Village have improved or regressed compared to the past. Divine King Langwa laughed. You are still going to have a match with Qin Yi? Qin Mu didn't deny this, and he revealed a slight smile. He is Celestial Venerable Qin, while I am Celestial Venerable Mu. 1,000,000 years ago, we had already found each other to be an eyesore. But back then we had yet to determine who was superior. Now that we have met again, although we have familial ties, we still consider each other to be an eyesore. Since that is the case, it would be good if we had a match. In knowing oneself and knowing the enemy, only then can one win all battles. There was a sly glint in his eyes. In the upcoming days, he will be focusing all of his energy on opening up the Permitha world's Yudu, and he will also need to reassure and convince the citizens and gods and devils of Carefree Village to let go of their grudges. He won't have the time to watch me or research my paths, skills, and divine arts. Yet, I will be able to uncover the marvels of his 33 heavens of the sword path from all sorts of clues and traces. Divine King Langwa replied hesitantly, I will need to reassure the Masters of Creation, and I need to mobilize the Masters of Creation to go help the big-headed weird baby, your brother, to create the Permitha world's Yudu. I won't have the time to accompany you. Qin Mu felt that it was a bit of a pity. He really liked how it felt to have Divine King Langwa by his side. This lady was incredibly clever. If she was a foe, she had astonishing ways to deal with the enemy, and if she was a friend, she would do everything she could to help the friend. Divine King Langwa was also an extremely beautiful woman, yet she didn't give him pressure the way Yun Chuxiu did. With this female Divine King by his side, Qin Mu even felt that his brain was more agile than usual. However, Divine King Langwa needed to leave to attend to proper matters, so he couldn't make her stay behind. The three of them returned to the base camp of the Masters of Creation, and Qin Mu watched as she took her leave. Shu Jun commented, This Divine King is an extraordinary woman, and her cultivation is also incredibly powerful. She's much more formidable than I was back then. Qin Mu sighed and said, It's a pity that she's a product of visualization. There aren't such perfect beings in the world. A product of visualization? Shu Jun broke into laughter. What are you thinking? Qin Mu was taken aback. Shu Jun shook his head. Gods that are visualized aren't able to make use of consciousness divine arts, and they aren't able to open divine treasures in celestial palaces like you can. Her consciousness divine art is even more formidable than mine, and she even has divine treasures in celestial palaces, so how could she be a god created by visualization? Qin Mu felt his head explode as he asked in a hoarse voice, What you are saying is that there really is such a beautiful and perfect woman in this world. He only felt that this was all too unbelievable. However, Shu Jun's words did give him a reminder. Divine King Langwa was too beautiful and too perfect, so he had ignored many other details and instead had the preconceived impression that she must have been a god that was visualized by the Masters of Creation. Gods created from visualization were very similar to the ancient gods, in that they were limited to the consciousness and thoughts of the Masters of Creation that had visualized and structured them. Fire was fire and water was water. They were unable to change their own attributes and could only continuously cultivate and improve themselves following their own attributes. The ancient gods were unable to open up divine treasures or celestial palaces. Furthermore, there were no ancient gods that were able to make use of consciousness as a battle technique, much less visualize and form other life forms. Yet, Divine King Langwa was an exception. She was able to visualize, and she had opened up her divine treasures in celestial palaces. She had also been able to comprehend the consciousness divine art from the paths, skills, and divine arts of Carefree Village to reform the paths, skills, and divine arts of the Masters of Creation. Looking at it like that, she really wasn't a god created by the masters of creation's visualization, but an alive and kicking living being. Qin Mu revealed a smile as he rubbed his hands together and laughed. I still thought that she was a product of visualization. Xu Jun didn't bother guessing his thoughts as he pressed him, asking, So how are we going to enter Carefree Village? Qin Mu was shocked. You want to come too? Xu Jun sneered. Naturally. When I'm revived, I want to cultivate divine treasures in celestial palaces. The ideal way is, of course, to follow you and take a walk through Carefree Village to see how they cultivate. Qin Mu replied awkwardly, Your current appearance. Wait for just a moment. Xu Jun retrieved a piece of grand primordium divine stone and visualized for a while. His huge head shrank and beneath it, he grew out a skinny and frail-looking body. In no time, he transformed into a weak-looking youth with a big head and said, This should be all right, right? This body of mine isn't of much use. It's just so I can walk around looking like a person. In the future, when I have restored more consciousness, I will reforge my corporeal body. Qin Mu looked at his face full of beard stubbles and nodded his head reluctantly. You look a bit old, but you're still pretending to be young, so you look a little odd. Xu Jun's face darkened, and he looked even uglier now. Qin Mu hurriedly continued. The Masters of Creation will move the zone of dead stars that encircles Carefree Village, and the gods and devils of Carefree Village will also help out. It will be quite chaotic then, and we can make use of the period when they are shifting the stars to infiltrate Carefree Village. I will go and get changed first. After all, these red robes and the red belly band are too eye-catching. Just as he had expected, after Divine King Langhua and Founding Emperor announced the oath of peace between the two races, in no time, the Masters of Creation started to move the zone of dead stars that encircled Carefree Village. The gods and devils of Carefree Village also flew out to help move those stars far away from Carefree Village. Some activated large ships, while others directly used their immense power to push the stars. Qin Mu and Xu Jun took the chance to sneak into the lowest level of Carefree Village's 33 heavens, Carefree Village's Supreme Emperor Heaven. At the same time, Founding Emperor's orders were passed down. Every department of the celestial heavens was to work dutifully and in an orderly manner, and they were to be prepared to support Qin Fengqing in opening up the Permitha Yudu and setting up the cycle of life and death. The greatest advantage Carefree Village had compared to Permitha's Masters of Creation was that the various departments of the country from the Founding Emperor era had all been retained. Founding Emperor only had to steer them in a general direction and pass down his orders, and the various departments would then be activated to complete and obtain the goal that he had set. This was the country system that Saint Woodcutter of the Four Great Heavenly Teachers had created for Founding Emperor. Under such a system, the talent of every individual could be fully made use of. Each had their own specific profession, and every god and devil was able to participate in building the nation. Yet, at the same time, no one was overworked, and they were able to have sufficient time for cultivating and improving themselves. Woodcutter Wentienga, as the leader of the Four Great Heavenly Teachers, had indelible merits during the Founding Emperor era. Zishi, you have exchanged blows with Celestial Venerable Mu before. How are his sword skills? Founding Emperor summoned Yan Yunqi over and asked. Yan Yunqi's gaze flickered, and she laughed. Is your majesty really going to have a match with your own descendant? It's a little beneath how an emperor should act, isn't it? Founding Emperor shook his head. It's not a competition with my descendant. It's a match between me as Celestial Venerable Qin and Celestial Venerable Mu. Although we are relatives, we have differences with regard to our ideals. The clash of ideals can sometimes be even more terrifying than hatred, and it will only snowball the grudges we have against each other. He touched the carefree sword gently and was a little lost in thought. After a while he continued, instead of waiting for the day our ideals clash with each other, resulting in irreconcilable conflict, it's better if we can first determine the winner and loser between us. For people with our tempers, we can no longer reason with words, we can only fight it out. He drew out the carefree sword and sized up the divine sword that had accompanied him as he grew. Back then, it was this very sword that shone brightly in his hands. It allowed me to witness the marvels of the sword technique, and let me resolve to enter the path with the sword. He waved the sword about, and it emanated cold sword rays that lingered in the skies. He continued leisurely, It was also this sword that was passed down from my hands into his hands and allowed him to comprehend the matchless sword techniques. This very sword, it connected him and me, 1,000,000 years apart and 40,000 years apart. I would like to know just how much he has improved compared to back then. You are the only one from Carefree Village who has seen his sword skills in recent years, and you know him better too. That's why I'm asking you. Celestial Venerable Mu's sword skills have been peerless in this world for the last 1,000,000 years. Yan Yunqi drew her sword and continued solemnly. Your Majesty's sword Dao is also at the pinnacle of the last 1,000,000 years. Your Majesty, I once met him in the primordial realm and asked him for guidance on the Raising Calamity sword technique. Please watch. She executed her divine sword, and the sword rays leaped about, imitating Qin Mu's Raising Calamity sword and demonstrating the 19th sword form of this technique. Founding Emperor's gaze flickered. Back then, Qin Mu had also executed the Raising Calamity sword at the Jade Pool, and had used one move to break through Mistress Yuan Mu's projection, shocking the world. It was just that he hadn't been able to look at it closely then. Even as an expert of the numinous Sky Grand Completion realm, Yan Yunqi still felt it was a bit strenuous to execute this move, and she was unable to completely demonstrate its essence. When he executed this move, it was even more intricate, with so many changes in it that even I was unable to defend against it. This is a basic sword skill. Founding Emperor waved the Carefree sword and demonstrated the moves one after the other. Before this move, there are still 4 more basic sword skills. The rays of his sword flickered, and he executed the 18th sword form, after which it transformed into the 17th sword form. He continued to deduce further until he deduced every one of the 4 great basic sword skills created by the reforms of eternal peace. Founding Emperor closed his eyes, then suddenly opened them with a bright glint in his eyes. After the 19th sword form, there's still a 20th sword form. The 20th sword form, the 20th sword form. Founding Emperor pulled out his sword and was visibly confused. He swung the Carefree sword aimlessly to try and find the 20th sword form. Yan Yunqi's gaze flashed and she suggested, Emperor, you reverse-engineered all of his sword skill tricks from his sword skills. Thus, what do you think Celestial Venerable Mu is doing right now? Sneaking into Carefree Village. Without any hesitation, Founding Emperor commanded, Find me the secret of the sword skill divine art and the way to beat me. Start the search from Supreme Emperor Heaven. The reason that he proposed this 2-month period was to understand my sword skills, not to wait for Fengqing to establish you do. You two really are family. Both of you think in similar patterns. Yan Yunqi laughed and backed down, saying, I shall no longer disrupt your comprehension of the 20th sword form. I wish you the best of luck. Carefree Village's Supreme Emperor Heaven. Xu Jun followed Qin Mu along wherever he went. However, Qin Mu didn't go to the academies there. Instead, he walked in the hills and the woods to check out the earth and the hills. Qin Mu even used his vital qi to form a sword, and used the drill sword form to drill deep into the hill. Holy Infant, what are you looking for? Xu Jun was perplexed. Why do you call me Holy Infant too? Qin Mu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Xu Jun said, I'm a master of creation, so I have to call you that. It's a custom of ours. What are you searching for? Qin Mu formed a sword with his vital qi and drilled fragments of rocks from deep beneath the earth. He picked up some of them and squeezed them in his palm, saying, With one blade of Founding Emperor, 33 heavens were formed, which nearly split the Permitha world in 2. This incident is peculiar. Xu Jun was even more perplexed now. We have been here for quite some time. The landmass and everything on it that the Permitha masters of creation live on was visualized by them. This landmass floats in the void and isn't linked. Qin Mu formed a sword with his vital qi again before stabbing it into a mountain of Carefree Village's Supreme Emperor Heaven. The sword energy drilled deep into the mountain as Qin Mu continued. It sounds terrifying that, with one blade, 33 heavens were formed. If Founding Emperor really did use one blade to cut off 33 landmasses of the Permitha world to form 33 heavens, his power would outmatch that of all of the Masters of Creation and Divine King Langhua. If so, how did the Masters of Creation resist Carefree Village for 20,000 years? Xu Jun was stunned and said, Clearly it was Founding Emperor who carved 33 heavens with one blade, for it was formed under his sword. The 33 heavens occupied half of the landmass of the Permitha world. However, it may not have been Founding Emperor's blade that carved the Permitha world in half. Qin Mu extracted some rock fragments from the mountain and laughed. Divine King Shu Jun, you are too honest. You don't seem to know how sly Founding Emperor is despite looking honest. He squeezed the fragments and saw some metal powder within them. Qin Mu blew and the rock fragments flew away. Yet the powder remained. He said. With one blade he formed 33 heavens with mountains, rivers, and lakes. If Founding Emperor wasn't the number one in the sword path, the masters of creation would be. Perhaps the Grand Emperor had such power, but his consciousness attainment wasn't that high, which could only mean that. Qin Mu raised a finger and pointed at the mountain ahead. He waved his finger gently, and a sword light sliced it in half. He smiled and said, "The 33 heavens of Carefree Village were forged prior to his arrival." This mountain split in two and revealed the rough metal and rocks combination inside that made up the mountain. Shu Jun's heart shuddered as he shockingly observed the intricate structure that made up the mountain. The mountain was made out of divine gold and other divine materials. The divine gold was forged into parts with runes imprinted on it, as if it was part of a colossal machine. At the base of the mountain, the divine gold and divine materials were laid deep into the earth. Clearly, the entire Carefree Village's Supreme Emperor Heaven was a large man-made object created with divine gold and divine materials. This Carefree Village's Supreme Emperor Heaven was a heaven created by countless skilled workers. As expected, Qin Mu put his hands together, and the cracked mountain shut itself. He continued, "I heard that during the end of the Founding Emperor era, Founding Emperor ordered Sakra Buddha, Li Yuran, to lead all of the heavenly craftsmen to build Carefree Village. Saint Woodcutter opposed it, but Founding Emperor continued to order Li Yuran to build Carefree Village." Shu Jun giddily mumbled, "Carefree Village should have been opened by Founding Emperor's blade. Divine King Langwa couldn't have been wrong. How could it have been created by Li Yuran?" Li Yuran was nicknamed Heavenly King of War in the Founding Emperor's celestial heavens. This came from how he was good at creating divine weapons for all, not because of his leadership. Qin Mu explained. He built Carefree Village, gathering all of the capable smiths to build 33 gargantuan divine weapons that hid the underlying sword reasoning of Founding Emperor's sword path. In other words, these 33 divine weapons are the 33 heavens of Founding Emperor's sword path materialized. He looked at Carefree Village's Supreme Emperor Heaven's geography and said, "The rivers, the mountains, all of the geographic features here are the path of his sword techniques, including the cities, villages, and sculptures." Shu Jun was still muddle-headed as he mumbled, "That's impossible, right?" Him opening 33 heavens with one blade was witnessed by countless masters of creation, and Divine King Langwa personally. There was no way for him to mess with Divine King Langwa, the chiefs, and the elders had he moved Carefree Village's 33 heavens here. It would have been too difficult. The chiefs of today are just as strong as me back then, not to mention Divine King Langwa, who would have already been way stronger than me. Qin Mu walked towards the nearest god city and laughed. "I once obtained the Carefree sword. It was Founding Emperor's sword, but I didn't know about that at first. I just felt that it was light and easy to use. Later on, I found out that it was Founding Emperor's sword, making it an imperial sword. Isn't it weird for an imperial sword to be so light?" Shu Jun followed him quickly, saying, "Isn't it easy to make a precious artifact light?" Li Yuran was the #1 craftsman of the heavens, so the Carefree sword he forged could indeed be light. However, peculiarly enough, I have rarely been able to unleash its power. Qin Mu said, "In theory, I should be able to activate the imprinted runes in it. However, I rarely unleashed its power." The Carefree sword seemed hollow. Shu Jun finally understood, saying, "Your meaning is that Founding Emperor hid Carefree Village's 33 heavens in the Carefree sword so that when he stabbed the Permitha world upon arrival, Carefree Village flew out of it and formed the 33 heavens?" Qin Mu nodded and said, "There were a lot of capable people under Founding Emperor. My master, Wen Tiange, was his Saint Woodcutter, Heavenly Teacher Z, she was a formation expert, and Sakra Li Yuran was Heaven's #1 craftsman. With their intelligence and capabilities, hiding Carefree Village in the Carefree sword should be doable. After all, they have already experimented with it once." He remembered the Imperial Gate divine knife that Mingdu Heavenly King Tianshu had. It contained all sorts of collapsible places to hide things in. Wretch! Shu Jun angrily said. Qin Mu was furious and smacked his head, angrily saying, "That's my ancestor. Only I can scold him, you can't." Shu Jun was furious too. "I can't." The two of them entered the city, and Qin Mu inquired about the academies from Carefree Village's inhabitants. Shu Jun couldn't help but say, "If you realize that Carefree Village's 33 heavens are founding emperor's 33 heavens of the sword path, then why do you still need to seek knowledge in the academies?" Qin Mu walked into the Supreme Emperor Heaven Academy with his third eye open. Every god and divine arts practitioner inside ignored them and allowed them in. That was an illusion his consciousness created, which enveloped the whole academy. Qin Mu's consciousness today was more powerful than before. He could fool gods and devils who were at the God Execution Stage realm and Jade Capital realm, let alone those at the Jade Pavilion realm. Of course, that was under the condition that he wasn't hostile. If he displayed hostility, he would still be detected. Checking Founding Emperor's Sword Path Divine Arts is only one of my motives. My other motive is to see how much Carefree Village's paths, skills, and divine arts have improved. Qin Mu plainly said, 20,000 years ago, there was a great breakthrough in paths, skills, and divine arts in the Founding Emperor era. This caused new paths, skills, and divine arts to be created all the time. I want to see whether such reforms have stagnated after they went to hide in Carefree Village. He came to the Academy Depository and walked inside in front of the sentry gods, saying, Saint Woodcutter said that the thing he regrets the most in his life is not persuading Founding Emperor against going to Carefree Village. I want to see whether his judgment was correct. There were a lot of people in the depository, including many divine arts practitioners. Qin Mu stood in front of a bookshelf and put himself in a deep sleep. Countless little Qin Mus flew out of his dream and ran around, reading all sorts of books in a noisy manner. It was a scene to behold. Yet, everyone in the depository seemed unable to witness it, as they were busy with their own things. Shu Jun was reading these books as well, but he used a different method. He scanned them directly with his consciousness at an extremely fast rate. However, Qin Mu's entering the path via dreams allowed him to not only skim the books of the depository quickly, but also get the little Qin Mus to try the divine arts, which was something Shu Jun couldn't do. Qin Mu read the entirety of the records in just half a day. Before Shu Jun could finish, Qin Mu walked out of the depository to observe the scholars of the academy cultivating their divine arts. He saw many scholars visualizing and fusing consciousness and vital qi. The paths, skills, and divine arts he saw were products of the merger of consciousnesses and vital qi. Clearly, after arriving here, the Founding Emperor era people accepted the divine treasures and celestial palaces cultivation system like the masters of creation. This constituted a reform. However, Qin Mu didn't see the reform that he had witnessed in Eternal Peace. Eternal Peace's reform allowed them to have hundreds more basic rune systems compared to the Founding Emperor era. These early runes of Eternal Peace's reform included the Heavenly Een runes and the Magnetic Hurricane runes. Outside of that, there were also the Great Tao rune systems of the ancient gods that Qin Mu brought from the celestial heavens. Eternal Peace recalculated with the computational canon of Supreme Molecule, and found out that there were countless Great Tao rune systems of the ancient gods. These were things Carefree Village didn't have. Research on basic runes seemingly stopped after the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens moved to Carefree Village. This phenomenon is worthy of research. Qin Mu blinked and observed Carefree Village's disciples learning in the academy. These disciples were divine arts practitioners. He observed their spirit and followed them to see their daily routines. He even invaded their minds with his consciousness to see what they were thinking about. He was very perplexed about why the reform abruptly stopped after they moved to Carefree Village. After all, the reform was rolling full steam ahead during the Founding Emperor era. While he was observing the divine arts practitioners, he suddenly realized that a middle-aged Taoist was curiously staring at him and observing him in the Supreme Emperor Heaven Academy. Qin Mu was slightly stunned. The entire academy was shrouded by his consciousness, and everyone would ignore him. Yet this middle-aged Taoist looked at him as if he was visible to him. Qin Mu smiled at that Taoist, an action which the Taoist returned. "What is your name?" Qin Mu walked up and greeted him. That Taoist hastily returned the greeting, saying, "A relinquished disciple of the Tao sect, Sumai Qing, hereby greets Celestial Venerable Mu. Relinquished disciple of the Tao sect? Qin Mu probed him. Sumai Qing, what is your relationship with the Tao sect of the primordial realm? That Taoist waved his horsetail whisk and laughed. I created it. The Tao sect of the celestial heavens didn't have many real Taoists. It had become a place for descendants and disciples of powerful and influential families to enhance their social status. On the contrary, the Tao sect of eternal peace had plenty of real Taoists. They dedicated themselves to the study of Tao and algebra, developing the paths, skills, and divine arts of eternal peace. The middle-aged Taoist Sumai Qing, a relinquished disciple of the celestial heavens Tao sect, created a Tao sect in the primordial realm. He was worthy of respect and admiration. Also, Qin Mu had heard some rumors about this particular relinquished disciple. He was originally from the celestial heavens Tao sect and had descended to the lower bound during the later years of the High Emperor era. He was partially responsible for the advancement of the paths, skills, and divine arts during the founding emperor era. Forging techniques had reached high attainments during the founding emperor era. However, the forging of divine weapons, battleships, god cities, and the reform of formation spells all required algebra. During that time, the algebra of the Tao sect was a major driving force of the founding emperor era, even going as far as saying that he had a part to play in Sacre Liuren's creation of Carefree Village. The appearance of this middle-aged Taoist was unremarkable, and not as prominent as the four great heavenly kings and the four great heavenly teachers of the founding emperor era. However, his contribution and impact were significant. People who were good at battles often produced predictable, successful battles rather than sensational ones that were eye-catching. Taoist Sumai Qing was one such person. It's my good fortune to meet Tao Master Su here. Qin Mu smiled and said, when I was in eternal peace, my relationship with the two generations of the Tao sect's Tao Masters wasn't bad. I didn't expect to actually meet Tao Master Su here. Tao Master Su, the Tao sect you left behind in the lower bound. It is now a pillar of eternal peace's reform. Sumai Qing hurriedly said, Celestial Venerable, please don't say it like this. I'm not a Tao Master anymore. I have long since given up that position. I'm now a wandering Taoist, teaching here to pass the time. Whatever achievements belong to Eternal Peace's Tao sect, not me. Qin Mu had good feelings towards him. Sumai Qing was a founder of Eternal Peace's Tao sect. However, he didn't claim credit for himself, unlike some people who always try to attribute all sorts of achievements to themselves. Did Celestial Venerable Mu come here to prepare for his battle with His Majesty that is going to take place 2 months from now? The middle-aged Taoist blinked his eyes and smiled. You can consider it a mistake to have come here to seek founding emperor's paths, skills, and divine arts. You should get yourself to high ground and monitor the geographical trends of Supreme Emperor Heaven. Qin Mu was stunned as he cried out, Taoist, how could you divulge founding emperor's sword path to me? By doing this, you are betraying founding emperor. In that case, Celestial Venerable Mu has comprehended founding emperor's 33 heavens of the sword path? Sumai Qing smiled. I have revealed too much and have underestimated the wisdom of Celestial Venerable Mu. I have betrayed the celestial heavens before, so it's no big deal betraying founding emperor. When Carefree Village was being set up, I stood on the side of Wentienga and believed we shouldn't establish Carefree Village. The difference is that I wasn't as resolute as Wentienga. He sighed, frowning until vertical lines appeared on his forehead. He then said, that year, when the founding emperor calamity erupted, I followed founding emperor and left. In the end, I came and stayed here for 20,000 years, feeling depressed since I couldn't fulfill my ambitions. Ultimately, I was unable to pull myself together, so I stayed in the bottommost level of Carefree Village to teach. Wentienga was more resolute than me and refused to enter Carefree Village. He remained outside, leading remnant armies to fight on, never setting foot here. I often thought, had I been as resolute as him and fought until the end, maybe His Majesty wouldn't have come to Carefree Village. He fell into a daze and seemed a little inarticulate. Qin Mu's eyes flickered and he said, You want to enlist my help in forcing founding emperor out of Carefree Village? Sumai Qing chuckled. How can a Taoist have such treasonous thoughts? The first form of founding emperor's sword path, Supreme Emperor Heaven Quelling Sword, is hidden in the vein lines of Supreme Emperor Heaven's geography. This sword is Founding Emperor's first sword, his first heaven, and it is truly powerful. He broke off a tree branch and used it as a sword to display the Supreme Emperor Heaven-quelling sword. As the tree branch moved in the air, its strokes were made up of basic sword techniques with an impressive air. The strokes then transformed into the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers. As the strokes became more unrestrained, they formed majestic mountains and rivers, giving off an aura that was capable of leveling the chaos in heaven and earth. After Su Maiqing had displayed the move, he held the branch in his hands and carefully planted it into the soil. He said, "This little shoot will one day become a towering tree." Qin Mu closed his eyes and recollected the Supreme Emperor Heaven-quelling sword that Su Maiqing just displayed. After some time, he opened his eyes and bowed to express his thanks. "Thank you, Dao Master, for your guidance." "Dao Master, I have something I don't understand. Why did the reform of the Founding Emperor era stop after Founding Emperor came to Carefree Village?" After Su Maiqing was done planting the tree, he got up and straightened himself. He grinned and asked, "Celestial Venerable, what do you think of my spirits today?" Qin Mu frankly said, "Gloomy, pale, and without fighting spirit." Su Maiqing laughed. "That is the spirit of the entire Carefree Village." Qin Mu was stunned. Founding Emperor's reform followed the will of the heavens and wishes of the people. The theme of the reform was determined by Wen Tiange. It was mainly to guard and protect. Su Maiqing visualized some water and used it to water the tree branches, he said. The gods guard and protect the people, serving them and making their lives better. The people groomed divine arts practitioners who would go on to become gods, creating a virtuous cycle. The more divine arts that were created by divine arts practitioners and gods, the stronger and more prosperous the Founding Emperor era would be. However, when the Founding Emperor calamity erupted, the gods stopped protecting the people. He looked at that little tree sprout seemingly in a daze. After some time he sighed. The gods abandoned the people and left. Therefore, the entire spirit of the era instantly evaporated, and the reform was halted. There are people in the imperial court praising Carefree Village for absorbing the Masters of Creation's visualization concepts, so the reform is still ongoing. They praised until the heavens shook loudly, to the point that they actually believed it. I, on the contrary, refused to believe. He gave a snort, turning to leave as he said, "I don't believe it. The base for reform is gone, and its theme is now useless. They spent all their time praising and bragging, but where is the reform? Loads of rubbish, flattery, and fawning. I won't associate myself with them. I hope you can beat up Founding Emperor until he becomes sober." Qin Mu was stunned, watching him as he left. Shu Jun came over and followed his gaze. He saw Su Maiqing's back view and asked puzzledly, "What is Holy Infant looking at?" "Nothing much." Qin Mu composed himself and laughed. "It's just that I suddenly experienced some thoughts and emotions." "Divine King, are you done?" Shu Jun nodded and said, "I have familiarized myself with the paths, skills, and divine arts of the past million years. Although I'm not entirely clear about the path I am going to take in the future, this has given me some form of a plan. Shall we rise up into the air to see Supreme Emperor Heaven's geography?" "There's no need." Qin Mu smiled and said, "I have already grasped Founding Emperor's Supreme Emperor Heaven-quelling sword. Let's go to Carefree Village's Supreme Brightness Heaven." Shu Jun was puzzled. Nevertheless, he followed him and flew towards Supreme Brightness Heaven. Supreme Brightness Heaven was connected to Supreme Emperor Heaven by a divine mountain, along with two heavens. The two reached the foot of the divine mountain and flew to its peak, entering Supreme Brightness Heaven. They then did the same thing again, finding the biggest academy in Supreme Brightness Heaven, and indulging themselves in the academy's entire book collection. Qin Mu was still faster than Shu Jun by a step. He finished viewing the book collection before him, and had memorized them to heart. He was about to leave the library when a voice suddenly said coldly behind him, "Celestial Venerable Mu, you lapped up information without digesting it. Based on your casual browsing, do you think you can solve His Majesty Founding Emperor sword techniques and defeat him? That is wishful thinking." Qin Mu looked in the direction where the voice came from, and saw a big burly man with thick eyebrows and big eyes. On his back he carried a sword case, revealing several sword hilts. He had already met an expert who wasn't mesmerized by his consciousness illusion, hence when this burly man appeared not to be affected by it, he wasn't very surprised. After all, Carefree Village had plenty of experts from the founding emperor era. After they migrated there, some fell into depression and became ambitionless, hiding there and living a secluded life. Qinmu asked, "May I ask who you are?" "Founding Emperor's Sun Guardian, Yen Rinyuan." The burly man put down his sword case and grabbed a sword hilt. He tugged at it forcefully but failed to pull out the sword. He scratched his head and said, "Celestial Venerable Mu, please wait a moment. I haven't drawn my sword for 20,000 years. This treasure that I refined has become rusty." He continued to tug at it with all his strength and finally managed to draw a sword out. It was littered with spots of heavy rust. "The sword isn't rusty. What's rusty is the Sun Guardian's sword heart." Qinmu examined his treasured sword and laughed. "The rust on the Sun Guardian's sword heart is indeed very serious. Wait for me to polish it." The burly man, Yen Rinyuan, walked out of the library and came to a small stream beside the academy. He began to polish the rusty sword, the rust turning the stream red. Yen Rinyuan panted as he polished his sword. The more he polished, the rustier the sword became. He got a shock and fell into a daze by the river. Qinmu stood behind him quietly waiting. He then saw the shoulders of this burly man moving, not knowing when he had started crying. His tears were like fire, flying out from his eyes and transforming into flames that danced in the air. "What do I want this sword for? What is it useful for? This F*King sword can't even be polished." He suddenly rose and jabbed the sword at Qinmu. Qinmu stood there motionlessly. Around him was sword light, which was emitting chicha noises. Yen Rinyuan waved his sword, and the rust-spotted sword transformed into a rust world around Qinmu. The world looked like a steel world invaded by time, and it was filled with a decadent and decaying aura. If the heart isn't clear, then the sword won't be clear. Even the Supreme Brightness Flood Sword has become rusty. Yen Rinyuan gave off a loud roar while his sword danced at a quicker pace. He continued to roar angrily as he flew up and stabbed forward with his sword. He cried in rage, "What is this rusty sword good for? What use do I have for a rusty heart? In the past, my sword was only slightly inferior to Founding Emperor's quick sword. It was a scorching sword. Now it isn't quick, and my sword and heart aren't hot anymore." He looked like he had descended into madness as he displayed the second form of Founding Emperor's sword path, Supreme Brightness Flood Sword. The scene of the rust-filled Supreme Brightness heaven floating around Qinmu was one that would shock the hearts of the people. After displaying his move, Yen Rinyuan gave in to the rage in his heart and threw his sword away as far as he could. However, he regretted it and ran over to pick up his sword. He then continued to polish his sword by the stream as he cried. Shu Jun walked over and asked puzzledly, "What happened to him?" "His Dao heart was hurt." Qinmu said, "Let's go to Pure Brightness Heaven to have a look." Shu Jun hesitated before saying, "Initially, when I looked at the paths, skills, and divine arts of Carefree Village, I found them novel. After going through 2 book collections of 2 big academies, I discovered that most of them are repeated. Holy Infant, there's no need to visit other heavens' academies." Qinmu laughed and said, "There's no harm in going to take a look." Shu Jun had no choice but to follow along. The two arrived at Pure Brightness Heaven. Before they could find the academy, they saw an old man by the road, burning joss paper in front of a grave. He was on the ground crying, "Qin Yi, you died young. Such a terrible death." Shu Jun laughed. "Old man, I had a friend as courageous as you. He dared to insult the Grand Emperor. When I visited him the next year, the grass on his grave was as tall as a man." That old man looked at him and coldly laughed. In the past, righteous people died to advise elders and carried coffins to court when the emperor was muddle-headed. Why can't I burn paper money for him? I want to. I have been burning it for 20,000 years. It's to the point where he can be the richest man in Yudu after he dies. Shu Jun laughed and humored him. If you want to be a righteous volunteer and burn paper money for him, why do you not do it in front of him? Why do it in this godforsaken place with so few people? Who are you burning it for? You aren't a righteous person. The old man became disappointed and sat on the ground. He mumbled, "You're right. I'm not a righteous volunteer. If I was, I would have carried a coffin to court and died to advise the elders. I even made my coffin. However, I got timid and backed out." He waved his sleeves and a black coffin flew out. It was likely the coffin he built back then, which he had intended to carry and die in to advise the elders. Shu Jun sized up the coffin and saw that it was glistening. It was likely constantly caressed. He couldn't help but laugh. "You old man, you touched it so much that there's oil on the coffin. You are clearly an overly cautious person with little conviction." The old man was furious and wanted to attack, but upon further thought, he agreed with Shu Jun. He didn't dare to carry his coffin to court. Instead, he spent his days looking at it, touching it, remaining undecided, and causing the coffin to glisten with oil. Shu Jun was going to taunt him again, but he was stopped by Qin Mu. "How do I address you, elder?" Qin Mu asked. The old man depressingly said, "One of the 4 assisting junior protectors of the founding emperor celestial heavens, Feng Yuji. Today, I am the guardian of the cemetery of pure brightness heavens." Qin Mu asked, "A junior protector makes you a first-ranking high official. How did you end up here?" Feng Yuji rose and said, "You are celestial venerable Mu, so you are always right. However, I know little about the path of the sword. I only know divine arts, so I used it to mimic sword skills. This sword is called the pure bright sword of stealing hearts." He used his divine arts to deploy the sword skill, and instantly it drizzled. The entire area became barren. Qin Mu could see the sword Dao Mu beneath this sword. Founding Emperor opened this path to train himself in stealing hearts by mourning comrades' deaths, worshipping his ancestors' death, and using the past to shape the present. It was also used to test opponents' Dao hearts. This sword required a lot out of one's Dao heart to fight it. If one's Dao heart wasn't secure, they would lose to him. Junior Protector Feng Yuji deployed it, saying, "I used divine arts to mimic his third blade. However, it's a divine art, which means it can't fully recreate the marvels of his sword Dao. If Celestial Venerable Mu didn't see the marvel within, I can deploy it again." Qin Mu closed his eyes before opening them and replying, "There's no need for that." Feng Yuji squatted again, burning paper money for that nameless tomb. He told Qin Mu, "Celestial Venerable Mu can go to Dark Embryo Heaven. The sentry there is the second assistant out of the 4 assistants, Junior Assistant Gao Baixuan." Qin Mu thanked him and left with Shu Jun. They chose not to seek guidance at Pure Brightness Heaven's Academy. Shu Jun looked back and saw that old man burning paper money still. He no longer cried about how brutally Qin Yi died. Instead, he had a smile on his red face that was grilled by the flames. "This junior protector of Founding Emperor seems to wish for you to beat Founding Emperor dearly." Shu Jun was puzzled. This old man bit the hand that fed him. Not only that, but he did it in such a happy manner. "Holy infant, now I know why you must walk around. There are so many people under Founding Emperor willing to feed you moves." Qin Mu smiled. Some people still have ambitions despite being old. Meanwhile, brave heroes have their ambitions reduced. Parts of the army didn't willingly choose to hide at Carefree Village. Those with ambition wish not for me to defeat Founding Emperor, but for me to excite the ambition of this washed-up leader. He continued, "They also want to excite their own ambitions. They are like divine dragons who could rebuke the heavens and earth that are stuck in a tiny swamp. They curl their bodies up and look up into the sky, wishing they were twisting and turning in the clouds and not rolling around in the mud. I feel like you are talking about me." Shu Jun laughed. "I am the divine dragon in your story." Qin Mu laughed in return as they ascended into Dark Embryo Heaven. In front of them, the forest was dense, and someone was teaching within it. His voice was loud as he hollered, "To universally love is to be altruistic. To carry it out is to be righteous. To perform this righteous altruism through one's own strength is Tao." What is this supposed to mean? Universal love constitutes altruism. Materializing this quality makes one righteous. Going on this path is Tao. This quote means finding out about the underlying principles of things and sticking to them, carrying them out even if it's hard. If one walks the talk despite it being hard, one achieves Tao. The person who doesn't do so is Founding Emperor. Qin Mu and Shu Jun walked forward and saw a teacher, who was dressed like a scholar, holding some books in one hand and a ruler in the other. He was explaining scriptures in an excited manner. His students were a bunch of monkeys with clothes. Some were scratching themselves while squatting on the ground, while some were grooming other monkeys in trees. They were very lively and very rarely stopped moving. The monkeys saw Qinmu and Shu Jun and immediately took off their clothes and ran away, throwing the clothes everywhere. The teacher was furious as he hollered, "Unflinching righteousness! Where did it all go? You degenerates running away when you see an enemy! Tai!" He jumped towards Qinmu. He was visibly furious as the ruler in his hands flew. He deployed a marvelous sword skill, the dark embryo sword of calm heavens, and directly pressed towards Qinmu. "Others may be scared of you, but I'm not." Shu Jun was going to block him, but Qinmu stopped him. The teacher, Gao Baishuan, danced with his ruler and deployed his dark embryo sword of calm heavens before turning around and walking away. He hollered, "The enemy is too powerful. I didn't actively engage you. I merely learned to run away like founding emperor." After he finished, he escaped into the woods while stepping on wood. Shu Jun was startled. Gao Baishuan poked his head out again, saying, "I'm not your opponent. I won't tell you that Grand Tutor Zhou Jingming is waiting for you in primordial bright heaven to avenge me." Qinmu hurriedly asked, "How does one go there?" Gao Baishuan lifted his finger and righteously said, "Over my dead body. I will never tell you that the road there is that way. Many thanks." Qinmu bowed and thanked him before walking the way Gao Baishuan pointed with Shu Jun. Shu Jun followed him in an uneven fashion as he looked back. He saw the junior assistant of founding emperor, Gao Baishuan, call the monkeys out from the woods again. They unwillingly put on their clothes and hats to listen to him teach. How weird. Shu Jun shook his head. It's to be expected. With their ambitions not realized, and their Tao path blocked, their Tao hearts are dispersed when little generosity is dispersed. Qinmu said, "One ought to find out the underlying principles of things and act accordingly, applying their knowledge. Now they can't do any of that, and their Tao hearts are clearly severely affected." They arrived at primordial bright heaven and encountered Grand Tutor Zhou Jingming. He was obviously waiting for them with murderous intent as he vowed to avenge junior assistant Gao Baishuan. He refused to let Celestial Venerable Mu enter. "If you want to, you have to step on my corpse," the old Grand Tutor Zhou Jingming righteously called out. After he displayed his primordial bright sword of literature, he laid down and Shu Jun stepped on his corpse. The old man furiously scolded him. "Is he for real?" Qinmu bowed and thanked him as he walked around him. The primordial spirit within Zhou Jingming's corpse emerged and hollered, "My big brother, Zhou Xuanfang, will avenge me at the Seven Shine Heaven. Wait for it." Shu Jun didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he turned around and asked, "How do we get there?" "That way." Zhou Jingming's primordial spirit lifted a finger and taunted them. "Go there if you dare." Qinmu and Shu Jun reached Seven Shine Heaven and greeted Zhou Xuanfang, who wanted to die in honor of founding emperor. He used his death to prove his loyalty, as he died in a more brutal manner than Zhou Jingming. Before he died, he told them that the three counselors of the founding emperor celestial heavens would be waiting for them in the latter heavens. On their journey, 2 months flew by. Qinmu and Shu Jun unknowingly passed through heavens like Complete Nothingness Heaven, Taiji Heaven, Crimson Light Heaven, Black Light Heaven, and Shiny Brightness Heaven. They were close to the top of the 33 heavens. Today they reached the Supreme Heaven, and upon entry, Qinmu heard laughter. He saw a donkey rushing towards him. A fishing rod was tied to its head, and on it was a carrot. It abruptly stopped when it was at Qinmu's side. "Hee, isn't this Celestial Venerable Mu? Can you not recognize me?" That donkey stood up and put one of its strong forearms on Qinmu's shoulder. The other forearm was on Shu Jun's shoulder, squeezing them together and causing them to have goosebumps everywhere. He smiled. "I am Lu Zheng. We suffered together. Let me tell you a secret. This Supreme Heaven is the realm of my master, Heavenly Teacher Zishi. She's been waiting for both of you for a long time." The donkey held them and moved forward as he effusively said, "Master told us that peace has been achieved between Carefree Village and the Masters of Creation. This is a good thing that should be celebrated. These days we brought some beautiful girls along to train their song and dance. They sure had a great deal of spirit of peace. It looked good, it sure looked good." Xu Jun's head was held tightly by him to the point where his feet couldn't touch the ground. He struggled but couldn't escape, which caused him to feel fearful. He utilized his consciousness divine art, but his consciousness couldn't invade the donkey's mind at all. He naturally felt more fearful. This donkey is terrifyingly powerful. Qin Mu whispered, "Don't resist. This donkey is a strong practitioner of the numinous sky realm. He's just as strong as the heavenly lords we saw previously." Xu Jun had to give up resisting. He wanted to speak, but the donkey was garrulous. Sometimes, he would even bray loudly, preventing him from interrupting. Qin Mu was used to Lu Zheng's temper and knew that he was used to being effusive. If one talked to him, one would suffocate to death. So he stopped talking and let him talk on. Lu Zheng brought them to the city in supreme heaven. It was extravagant, and countless entertainers danced excitedly. Skirts flew everywhere while sleeves fluttered. It appeared extremely luxurious. On the left, hundreds of gods blew flutes, while on the right, another several hundred gods played their string instruments. Above them, hundreds of gods hit drums, while beneath them, hundreds of gods played even more instruments. The girls flew in the sky, danced on the ground, and crisscrossed. Their demeanor was enchanting and charming, and their voices were even more so. They sang to Founding Emperor's greatness, wisdom, and strength. Yin Yunqi was dressed like a man as she observed the occasion from a city tower. She was also dancing, and she constantly applauded the entertainers. The officials with her also sang along, licking Founding Emperor's boots. Lu Zheng brought them upstairs and put them down. Yin Yunqi looked around, smiled, and asked, "What do you think about this performance, Celestial Venerable Mu? Is it grand? After we establish the Permithayudu, I intend to take them to the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens and practice with the officers there to sing along to Founding Emperor's impressive achievements." Qin Mu smiled. "The dance moves are beautiful and mesmerizing, and the singing is marvelous and moving." Yin Yunqi applauded, laughed, and glanced at him, saying, "Unfortunately, you don't seem to understand the immensity of heaven and earth, considering how you challenged Founding Emperor. You seem to not understand how Founding Emperor is number one in the path of the sword, and how high his accomplishments in the sword are. If I told you, you would probably be scared to death. He is already beginning to comprehend the 20th sword form, after I displayed your 19th sword form in front of him." She rose and proudly said, "Founding Emperor is such an unrivaled and naturally wise man. Thus, you should cancel this rebellious thought of yours. However, you are unwilling, right? Therefore, allow me to defeat you with Founding Emperor's sword skill." She swept her sleeves back and hollered, "Back off. I will now use Founding Emperor's sword skill to let Celestial Venerable Mu experience the immensity of heaven and earth." The entertainment stopped, and the entertainers backed off. Yin Yunqi pulled out her sword and looked at Qin Mu. Qin Mu was stunned as he said, "Even you?" Yin Yunqi waved her sword and attacked. She interrupted him and immediately used the first move of Founding Emperor's 33 Heavens of the Sword Path, Supreme Emperor Heaven Quelling Sword. She taunted, "Do you think I'm like Su Maiqing or Yin Rinyuan? They are only skilled in algebra or divine arts. Some are only good at leading armies while some are but civilian officers. Do you think they can show off the marvels of Founding Emperor's sword skills?" Founding Emperor's sword path was marvelous when commanded by her. It was in a different league compared to what Qin Mu saw previously. It was different from people like Su Maiqing. Yin Yunqi was the real deal. She was unrelenting and unleashed all of the sword path's power immediately. However, she underestimated Qin Mu's cultivation and used God Realm cultivation. Thus, despite showing off the power of Founding Emperor's sword skill, she couldn't threaten Qin Mu. Qin Mu's heart fluttered as his sword pellet flew out and broke her Supreme Emperor Heaven Quelling Sword. Yin Yunqi felt the force from his blade and raised her magic power realm, unleashing the second move, the Supreme Brightness Flood Sword. Qin Mu continued breaking it with his sword, using his sword move to break the Supreme Brightness Flood Sword, cutting off the flood of brightness. Yin Yunqi's magic power was raised to the true god level. However, she still felt that Qin Mu's magic power was grand and much stronger than her cultivation. This frightened her. Her path was unique. She had learned a mix of a lot of different things. However, she was smart and had high attainments in every subject. Founding Emperor evaluated her before and said she was smart and that she only paled in comparison to Wenqianga, And even then, her natural aptitude was far superior to Wenqianga. In natural aptitude, she was inferior to Diyue, but she was smarter. Diyue had Heaven Duke's bloodline and could learn anything easily. She didn't have such a level of talent, so she learned the post-celestial great Das, all of them. She learned the paths of instruments, chess, books, paintings, knives, spears, swords, formations, and martial arts. The path of Yin Yunqi was the path of unison, improving several celestial palaces. In this path, one would hope to rush to the grand realm of the celestial heavens realm after reaching the Emperor's throne realm, elevating one's techniques and cultivation level to that of the celestial venerables. She followed this path. However, it was difficult to elevate the post-celestial Great Das to the Emperor's throne level, even more so than the pre-celestial Great Das, as one had to open them step by step. She knew the path would be hard. Diyue and martial arts heavenly teacher were already strong practitioners of the Emperor's throne, while she was still stuck in the numinous sky realm. However, this also made her magic power grand. In the founding Emperor Celestial Heavens, few could defeat martial arts heavenly teacher Guancha like her. The first to do so was Founding Emperor. Founding Emperor's magic power was unbelievably grand. The basis of Qin Mu's Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique came from Founding Emperor's basic Daoyin technique. The second was Diyue, who had the bloodline of Heaven Duke, which rendered her strong. However, while Yin Yunqi was a realm below him, she was still able to defeat him, showing off her skill. Yet, when facing off against Qin Mu, she felt that Qin Mu's magic power in the same realm was 2 to 3 times more powerful than hers. She had to elevate her cultivation realm to the God execution stage before she could deal with Qin Mu's sword. In the same realm, even Founding Emperor wouldn't be as dense as him. Even. She was unnerved. Qin Mu's magic power was too dense. In the same realm, Founding Emperor paled in comparison. Yin Yunqi had already deployed the 33 heavens of the sword path to the supreme melt sword. However, Qin Mu hadn't seen it before, so she deployed it slowly to show its marvels to Qin Mu. After this move, Yin Yunqi didn't stop. Instead, she brought out the 30th heaven, the Grand Jade Rising Victory Sword. Then it was the 31st heaven, the Dragon Brahma Alteration Sword. Next was the 32nd heaven, the Education of the Graceful Merchant's Sword. Finally, the 33rd heaven, the Grand Brightness Realm Sword. At this move, Yin Yunqi stopped and abandoned her sword. She admitted, "I can't beat you, but Founding Emperor can. He is way stronger than me when using the 33 heavens of the sword path. You will surely lose to him." "Many thanks," Qin Mu said earnestly as he put away his sword pellet. Yin Yunqi glanced at him and coldly said, "Do you really think you can beat Founding Emperor? He's number 1 in the path of the sword. His attainments in it are unrivaled. His comprehension is so quick and deep that no one can beat him. He created the 33 heavens of the sword path 20,000 years ago. I'm not even sure which step he has reached in his sword path." Qin Mu felt apprehensive. Yin Yunqi continued, "When Founding Emperor sees your 19th sword form, he can take down your 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th sword form. He won't be stuck on the 19th sword form. Maybe when you enter the Founding Emperor Celestial Heavens, you will find his 20th sword form. You might even see the 34th or 35th heaven of his sword path. 35 heavens. You're dead." Qin Mu smiled gently. "You really want Founding Emperor to lose to me?" Yin Yunqi glared at him and hollered, "Ridiculous. I'm loyal to Founding Emperor. Even the sun and moon can see that. I lost to you due to my lack of power, and not because I wanted you to see Founding Emperor's sword skills." Lu Zheng and Xu Jun were drinking with the other god officials on the city tower, and as soon as they heard her, the god officials spit out their wine. "What are you laughing at?" Lu Zheng was furious and stared at them. "Drink up. Whoever doesn't drink today sees and hears nothing. No one is allowed to leave." Those god officials were frightened and had to drink. To Yin Yunqi, Lu Zheng was a donkey. To the others in the Supreme Heaven, this donkey was the Donkey Devil King. Qin Mu glanced to the side and asked, "Heavenly Teacher, is there really a 34th heaven to the sword path?" "I have no idea." Yin Yunqi shook her head and said, "Maybe, maybe not. Judging by his talent, yes, but from the state of Carefree Village, no." Qin Mu stared deep into her soul and asked, "When will you dress like a girl?" Saint Woodcutter and martial arts heavenly teacher are waiting. Yin Yunqi was furious. What business is it of yours? Until I meet a guy that can take my heart away, I'll dress like this. Qin Mu laughed and said, you can't find a guy as wise as Saint Woodcutter or as stubborn as martial arts heavenly teacher. You should change into female clothing now and choose one of them to marry. Neither of them has married yet, as they are waiting for you. Your delay inconveniences them. Yin Yunqi was frustrated and embarrassed. She furiously said, I didn't lose to you. Leave now. Don't humiliate me here. Shu Jun, let's go. Qin Mu called out and Shu Jun rose quickly. Lu Zheng smiled and said, big guy, come here to drink another day. I will treat you to carrots. The carrot hung on the fishing rod on his head struggled, but it failed and had to accept its fate. Shu Jun agreed and moved to Qin Mu's side. Don't go to the heavens after. Yin Yunqi walked him out of the city and said, this display of flattery is fake. In the later heavens their display is real. If you go there, you will be humiliated. Qin Mu was slightly stunned and showed his doubt. Yin Yunqi sighed and said, the only bitter people in Carefree Village are those of the older generations like us. The new gods and devils born here have little attachment to the outside world and greatly fear the strong celestial heavens they have heard rumors about. They don't want to leave, and among them are some smart people who know you are fighting to advise founding emperor and force him to go out. They will surely try and stop you. Qin Mu revealed a smile, nodded and said, to them this place really is Carefree Village. Yin Yunqi gave a cold humph and plainly said, what Carefree Village? There's no Carefree Village in this world. Go now, the earlier you see founding emperor the better your odds of winning become. His comprehension of sword path divine arts is too high. The later you go, the higher the likelihood of him comprehending the 20th sword form, which puts you at a disadvantage. Qin Mu bade her farewell and left. The two of them reached the Grand Jade Heaven. This heaven was a great deal different than the previous 29 heavens. Dance and song filled the atmosphere of the extravagant and luxurious-looking heaven, and young gods and devils used visualization divine arts to create all sorts of wondrous scenery that was beautiful. People were dancing and singing in this strangely beautiful land. There were wine pools and meat forests. It was extremely extravagant. Shu Jun suddenly cried when they reached that place. Qin Mu was weirded out and asked, what's wrong? Before our extinction we were like this. Seeing such a scene again, I can't help but recall our extinction. Shu Jun recalled, nobody thought about how close we were to extinction when we were in our most prosperous state. Qin Mu thought about it deeply. Gods were on guard here. They should be younger gods who heard the news of Qin Mu's arrival at Carefree Village and thus were searching for him. Qin Mu's consciousness waved and formed a consciousness illusion. They walked past the gods who were searching for them safely. They reached the Dragon Alteration Heaven, which was even more extravagant. The heavens below trained to prevent an offensive by the Masters of Creation, creating a nervous atmosphere. There was none of that here. There was only enjoyment and luxury. Qin Mu and Shu Jun didn't stop and instead rushed to the next heaven, Peaceful Education Heaven. Mu'er. Qin Hanjin and his wife were waiting for him at the entrance, likely for a long time. Princess Consort Zhen smiled and said, you really are here. Your father still knows you well. He said you would come here to find out about founding emperor's sword skills. Qin Mu lifted his robe and kowtowed to them, saying, I became the holy infant, which caused me to neglect both of you. I hereby pay for my sins. Qin Hanjin lifted him up quickly, saying, how can we be called your parents if we didn't nurture you, educate you, or even give you a soul? Princess Consort Zhen wiped her tears, smiling. I wish I gave birth to 2 sons. Qin Hanjin said, you must have suffered hardships coming here. The old guards of the emperor are loyal to him. They must have made your journey difficult. I know it has been hard on you. Qin Mu didn't know what to say. Princess Consort Zhen said, your father is King Zhen, and it's hard for him to go down and see those old guys. They have weird tempers, and they speak in an enigmatic manner. I wanted him to go look for you, but he said those old guys know better. They might strike out against you, but they wouldn't take your life. At worst, they would only injure you, so there was no need to go. It would be even better if you were forced to withdraw. Qin Mu was even more stunned than before. Shu Jun laughed. Those old guards of founding emperor really are loyal and really made him suffer. Qin Hanjin led them to the King Zhen residence as he said, "It's rare that you are back. I'll take you to see our ancestors. We won't question your duel with founding emperor. Let's enter first. Half of the land in this peaceful education heaven is ours." Qin Mu acknowledged. He followed Qin Hanjin and Princess Consort Zhen, and all he could see were graves with no end in sight. "These are all our ancestors," Qin Hanjin said. The old Qin family members knew that founding emperor was determined to move to Carefree Village, which was an unpopular decision. So, from the 4th generation on, they actively fought against the Masters of Creation. All of them are here, generation after generation. Founding emperor had 34 children, and on the way to establishing his celestial heavens, 33 of them died in battle. Our ancestors died in battle when we migrated to Carefree Village. He had 6 sons who fought against the celestial heavens. They died, and their bodies haven't been found yet, as there was no way to find them. Qin Hanjin said. He didn't enter the ancestral graves. 3 generations of founding emperor's descendants died while entering the Great Void. They scouted the way, and only one came back alive, which meant safety for founding emperor. In our generation, the 106th generation, and yours the 107th generation, there are few people in the old Qin family. Every generation of ours has to shoulder the burden of defending Carefree Village. When the Masters of Creation struck, we were the first to respond at the front lines. We were worried about that, which was why your mother didn't want you to return here. He pointed at a grave in front and said, "That's your uncle, my brother. He treated me nicely. He sent me off when I left Carefree Village. When I returned, he was buried here. To us, Carefree Village never existed." He stood in front of it and his head drooped as he said, "Because for people with the surname Qin there are too many burdens. Too many burdens."